Very best of evenings to you all, folks. We're so glad you decided to join us on your Friday night. The Macon Mayhem hosting the Fayetteville Marksmen on a hockey night in Macon, Georgia. Thanks so much for tuning in on the Mayhem Broadcast Network on SPHL Live, powered by New Lion, and on YouTube this evening. Alex Von Corner, the voice of your Mayhem, the sole broadcaster tonight, as Fayetteville's Sean Bednard could not make the trip, unfortunately. He's feeling under the weather, so Sean, if you're out there, best of luck in your recovery to full health, buddy, and I wish you were here, miss you, and hope all is well back in Fayetteville. But for those of you tuned in from the Marksman side, rest assured we'll do our best job to make sure that we're bringing you the most balanced coverage we possibly can. I can't promise too much, but I'll try to do my best in keeping things fair. As for the Mayhem last night, folks, in case you didn't miss it, it was a Thursday night, the last Thursday night game of the regular season, the last college night as well, presented by Ann Parman Law Firm. It was a good start, the start the Mayhem needed. In fact, the Mayhem did lots of things right, lots of things perfect, really. Their penalty kill was perfect. Josh Keplinger, fresh out of Lawrence University, playing his first professional game last night, scored a goal in what I think was his first shot in his first pro game. So Josh Keplinger, certainly a bright spot on the Mayhem last night, not just offensively, but also logging some big minutes on the penalty kill and being partially responsible for the Mayhem's 3-for-3 mark on the PK yesterday. So that was another bright spot. The team outshot Birmingham. That was another bright spot. So lots and lots of positives to take away from the result yesterday. Unfortunately, Maverick Park stole the show again, and that's been the case not once, not twice, now but 3 times this season in games in which the Mayhem have played against Birmingham. Maverick Parks has been the starter 4 out of 5 times. He's won 3 of those 4 games. The only time the Mayhem were able to beat him was back on January 11th in that 7-5 barn burner here at the Macon Centreplex, the highest scoring game of the regular season. Parks was rattled pretty early, and the Mayhem never looked back from that point on. Yesterday, however, he played the way he did on January 12th when he got that shutout. The only thing stopping him from getting a shutout last night was Josh Keplinger's howitzer of a wrist shot from the outer hash marks of the right circle with a baker's dozen seconds remaining on the tail end of a Mayhem power play. That would be their lone power play tally and lone overall tally of the game. Special teams last night were good for the Mayhem, though not good enough, as they were ultimately bested by a 3-1 margin, and the Mayhem did have 5 power play opportunities, only converted on 1 of them, but still some life and some things to be taken from that opportunity. And then yesterday, the penalty kill, again, like we said, was perfect, and that was the first time in 5 games the Mayhem were perfect on the penalty kill. We'll see if that can roll over into tonight as well. Speaking of tonight, let's take a look inside this matchup in greater detail. This weekend's Tilts, folks, will feature 2 teams tightly jostling for playoff positioning. The implications of this series cannot be overstated. The Mayhem sit a mere point ahead of Fayetteville for 5th place in the SPHL. The Marksmen have been struggling of late. They've dropped 5 of their last 6 games. However, all of those outings were decided by a single goal, and 4 of them have gone to extra time. Tonight's game will be won in the trenches, and for Jesse Calicky and company, there is far more at stake than just a couple of points tonight. Fayetteville has not won a game in this building since they were the Fayetteville Fire Ants back on February 18th of 2017. So since then, they have dropped 8 consecutive decisions at the Macon Centreplex. And with deep playoff implications on the line, the the Marksmen will be doing all they can to lift this curse and snap their losing skid in Macon. One big piece of good news for the Mayhem is the return of two-way centerman Jimmy Soper. He's been a very critical piece to the Mayhem's bottom line all season. And when I say bottom line, I don't mean on the depth chart. I mean bottom line, their overall performance night in and night out. Jimmy Soper, big-bodied centerman who uses every inch of his pretty colossal frame to really force opponents into making plays they would otherwise not want to make. He doesn't shy away from the dirty areas. He really likes throwing his body around and getting physical, and sort of a spark plug, one of the spark plugs on the Mayhem. And not only that, but he's got a really good shot. He's got a lot of skill, and he's been exactly what Mayhem head coach Leo Thomas expected him to be and what he wanted him to be when he picked him up after he was released by the Newfoundland Growlers of the ECHL just 2 games into the season up there. And Coach Thomas said, come on down, we would love to have you. And Jimmy Soper has missed the last 14 games. He's been great on faceoffs this season. He's somebody who was a glaring omission in the Mayhem's lineup for a long time. So his return will mean nothing but good things for the Mayhem. Number 13 in the Navy sweaters tonight, which if I'm not mistaken, this will also be his first time. This is a sort of a pointless statistic here, but it'll be Soper's first time wearing a Navy sweater in this building, if you don't count last season, of course. He was here last season very briefly, but this has been his first really full season in Macon. So tonight's game is Princess Night, folks. There's lots of princesses, pageant queens roaming around the Centreplex lobby in the Coliseum. There will be a princess costume contest late in the second period, as well as some princess trivia and Disney music played throughout the contest during media timeouts, etc. And tomorrow, of course, will be Pucks and Paws Night, presented by Noah's Ark Pets and Grooming, as the Mayhem close this homestand against Fayetteville. After tomorrow night, the Mayhem will only have 3 home games remaining on their calendar, which is bizarre to think about how quickly this season has flown by. But time flies when you're having fun, and it has been a fun season for the Mayhem. However, it has not been as fun as of late, as the Mayhem now have lost as many games as they've won this season, which is also bizarre to think about given the way their season started. They've still got an above 500 record due to the overtime loss rule, in which they received points in 5 of their 22 defeats. The record right now, 22-17-5. Fayetteville at 20-15-8. Again, just sitting 1 point behind the Mayhem in the standings right now. Macon is tied with Knoxville for 4th place, but the Ice Bears have a game in hand. They will play tonight, but the Mayhem will end tonight with 45 games played, Knoxville with 44. The good news for the Mayhem is that Knoxville has got its work cut out for them this weekend up in Peoria at Carver Arena. The best team in the league at the moment, at least in terms of the standings. And Knoxville is going to have, I would think, a pretty tough time on the road up in Peoria getting 4 points. So if the Mayhem can take care of business this weekend, they will finish the weekend in 4th place most likely in the SPHL standings. The referee, Steven Saylor, the linesman, Venance Lawrence, Derek Calise, skating out onto the Macon Centreplex ice. The Mayhem head coach, Leo Thomas, followed closely by his assistant coach, Ryan Michael. Fayetteville countering with head coach Jesse Kalicki, the former assistant of the Huntsville Havoc, with whom he won a President's Cup championship with last season. And former NHLer and former Florida Panther Peter Worrell is his assistant behind the bench. 3 keys of the game tonight for the Mayhem, folks. Number 1, finishing hits in all 3 zones. The Mayhem, simply put, are a better team when they're more physical, and with the return of Jimmy Soper, that ought to be a little bit easier. He is, I would say, the Mayhem's hardest hitting forward. And those big body checks that Soper put on display so often when he was healthy have been missed of late from the Mayhem. So finishing hits in all 3 zones is 1. Number 2, hard back check. That's not necessarily a shortcoming from yesterday, but had it been done a little bit more diligently, I think a couple of goals from Birmingham's part might not have occurred. So a hard back check, and finally continuing to shoot through the screens. That's one thing the Mayhem did extremely well yesterday. They got a lot of point shots on net, through traffic, on target. Kristaps Bazovic, Jarrett Cupp, and others, and Zach Urban with long one-time shots from the blue line. Were it not for Maverick Parks, I would think a lot of those would have been goals. Maverick Parks now ranking first in the entire SPHL in save percentage after the night he had against Macon last night. Parks, .930 save percentage on the campaign, leads everybody who's still in this league at least. Of course, Jordan Ruby still has a step on him, but he's been in Wheeling for months now, and just got a shutout actually a couple of weeks ago, Jordan Ruby, so we're very thrilled for him. He's played extremely well up in Wheeling with the Nailers, the Pittsburgh Penguins farm team. So finishing hits in all 3 zones, hard back check, and continue to shoot through screens and get those shots on target. Those are your 3 keys of tonight's game. Few players who are hot for Fayetteville to watch out for tonight, folks. Darren McCormick leads the Marksmen with 3 points in as many games against the Mayhem in 5 games against the Mayhem this season. Also a former player in Macon, was a pretty good goal scorer while he was here last season. is always a threat when he's on the ice. Travis Jake, somebody else who's going to be watched very closely, I would imagine, by the Mayhem defenders and their forwards at the points, as Travis Jake, a very smooth skating, good offensive-minded defenseman with a heck of a shot from the blue line, had 3 assists on Sunday against Pensacola. He will be our second player to watch from Fayetteville. And finally, Taylor Price, also somebody to watch, had a goal and an assist last weekend against Pensacola as well. Price is was a longtime teammate of Ian Silvis at Buffalo State College. Graduated a year before Silvis did. Former allies turned adversaries tonight. Charles Olson, the public address announcer, getting set to announce the starting lineups for the Macon Mayhem tonight. Starting lineups for the Mayhem will be announced right now by Charles Olson. Zach Urban gets the nod, the alternate captain, recently promoted a few weeks ago to line. Oops, it looks like that might have been a miscommunication. That is not. Oh, my apologies. That is Zach Urban. So Christos will join him on his left. And John Seymour will get the nod to start up front at center for Coach Thomas and the Mayhem. And this young man, who in his Mayhem debut last night scored his first goal, his pro debut on top of his Mayhem debut, scored a goal from the outer hash marks to the right circle to beat arguably the best goaltender in this league. He's got to be riding high after a moment like that. And Jake Trask, his line mate, it's got to be a great feeling for him coming straight out of college just a week ago. From doing that to playing with Jake Trask and John Seymour, the Mayhem's top scorers this season. And Tanner Creel has been given the green light to be tonight's starter for the Mayhem. Creel still looking for his first win with the organization, even though he has played it pretty well at times. He's not gotten a W under his belt thus far. And it's been unfortunate. The timing he was brought on board was right before the Mayhem went on that skid. Fayetteville's starting line is as follows: Nolan Sheeran up front with David Mazurek and Max Cook. On defense, Corey Melkert, Tyler Palmer, and in goal, Dylan Kelly. He's been their go-to netminder all season. Kelly's played 28 games, which leads the SPHL. 12-10-3 record, a 3.15 goals against, and an .896 save percentage. The backup goaltender tonight for Fayetteville is Jake Moore, who was just also brought down from college. The singing of our country's national anthem will be next. In the meantime, keep it right here, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Well, Darlin Davis doing an outstanding job singing our national anthem. Darlin will go on to compete in Miss Georgia in June. We've got lots of pageant queens and lots of princesses from Disney movies in the Centreplex lobby tonight. I've seen a few of them roaming around. We saw Cinderella, Princess Fiona, Elsa from Frozen, I think, is dropping the puck down there as well. And my knowledge of Disney princesses isn't the best, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that's her sister. That's supposed to be her sister from Frozen. Beg your pardon if that's not correct. What was her sister's name? Anna, I believe? Oh, we'll find out. So the ceremonial puck drop taking place. Max photobombing in there as well. And we're just about ready to roll here for the 45th game of the 2018-19 regular season. The Mayhem hoping to build upon their very meager advantage over Fayetteville and Roanoke in the SPHL standings. They're hoping to pass right back over Knoxville. They were ahead of them last night. Knoxville passed them without even playing a game, as they were tied with identical records yesterday, but the Mayhem lost. The Knoxville Ice Bears now with the tiebreakers. They've played fewer games than the Mayhem have. And tonight's contest will be the first of a 4-game stretch between the Mayhem and the Fayetteville Marksmen. The Mayhem will finish the series tonight and will head out to Fayetteville next week to challenge the Marksmen at Crown Coliseum next Friday and Saturday. And those games will be the last times they face Fayetteville for the rest of the regular season. Lots of folks seem to think there's a good chance of these teams meeting in the postseason in the first round. And Fayetteville right now, one of the teams that the Mayhem, I think, would prefer to face just because of their head-to-head record against them. It has been strong. The Mayhem on the campaign 4-1-0 against the Marksmen. They've not lost to them in this building in over 2 years. The Marksmen, however, a much different, much improved team from last season and the season before, are hoping to change their fortunes tonight. The referee for tonight's game is Steven Saylor. The linesmen are Vanessa Lorenz and Derek Calise. Saylor drops the puck. Fayetteville wins the draw. This game is underway, as it's sent up the left boards by Corey Melkert into Macon territory. Kristaps Bazovic swoops behind his own net and will carry it out in front of it and send a pass outside of the reach of Trask. Melkert recovers and will fling it back out as it eclipses on for Max Cook, who will pick it up in the right corner and sail it over the crossbar from an impossible angle. It's one-handed out of the zone by John Seamer, who took a big check to make the play. Zach Urban gets in it right away, begins throwing fisticuffs over on the far half wall, right next to the dasher board. He's going at it with Corey Melkert. Urban and Melkert go down, and my oh my, that took 29 seconds, and they will not let go of each other. Both linesmen are needed to separate the two of them. 29 seconds in, and we've got a fight. I think this crowd's having fun. Folks, since Zach Urban has returned from the Toledo Walleye, the Detroit Red Wings farm team, he's been a force to be reckoned with. He has certainly made his presence known. He spent a lot of time in the penalty box, and a lot of it's because of plays like that in which he sticks up for his teammates. He just saw his former teammate at Northern Michigan University, John Seamer, the two of them pretty good friends, pretty close. He saw that, didn't like it at all, and went right after Corey Melkert immediately. No, he was not in two minds whatsoever. And 29 seconds into the game, Zach Urban given the penalty with Corey Melkert. Urban second on the team in penalty minutes now, behind only Alexander Tallien as Minerva races in. Will drop it for Caleb Cameron, who attempted a return pass for him, intercepted by Travis Jake, who clears it over the blue line, rolling towards the Mayhem logo at center ice. Following up and clearing it in now is Fayetteville's Taylor McCloy, who's playing his first game against Macon this season. Larry Smith has it in his own zone and will chip it up the left boards. Levesque feathers it further. Kletcha plays it down to the ice with his glove, steps into the zone and shoots. A knuckleball is stopped by Dylan Kelly with the blocker. And now it's fed around the boards past Tyler Palmer. Picked up and centered. Cameron with a tight shot is blocked. It looked like by Jake again. Two blocked shots by the Boston College product. And Jarrett Cup is squeezed into the half wall by McCloy. Sends it clockwise around the wall, as Justin Levesque will have to go fetch the Fayetteville clearing attempt. That was just short of icing. Levesque is there to pick it up, and Jarrett Cup gets the pass from him. Cup in his last season at Curry College last year led all defensemen in goals with 11, second on the entire team in goals as a defenseman at Curry College. The Mayhem have drawn a penalty, and for the first time tonight there will be a power play just a minute and 5 seconds in. Check that, a minute and 35 seconds in. Darren McCormick, the former Mayhem, to the box. Macon do its first power play of the night. Yesterday the Mayhem scored on their first power play of the game. That one took a little bit longer. It was about 3.5 minutes before the Mayhem went to their first power play yesterday. Jake Trask can't hold in the clearing attempt as it sails over his glove, off the glass, stays in the zone. Bazovics will retrieve it in behind his own net. Kristaps Bazovics will feed a pass up to Caleb Cameron. It looked like it might have lobbed over his stick just barely. He will stay on it and pursue Paul Frasio, knock him off the puck. And Cameron now throwing a couple of fisticuffs at Frasio. Play resumes. Seamer gets the pass right circle with a curl and drag shot stopped by Dylan Kelly. The turnaround bid also blocked by, looked like Kyle Thacker. And Bazovics with a bit of a mishap at the blue line. Kristaps mishaps. We're going to try not to say that too many times tonight. He will swivel his way back across the blue line. Feed Jimmy Soper. Soper steps into the slot, feeds to Aline, whose shot is denied by Dylan Kelly. Nice lateral save to make the stop with his shoulder. Now Soper might go. Lots of pushes and shoves. This is not something you see very often with two teams who've not seen each other in months, but that's been the case so far in the first few minutes. We've seen one fight and nearly two more already. Bazovics for Keplinger. He will slice his way through center, chip it into the zone, and go after it himself in behind the goal line. He reaches it first. He's held up by Palmer. It's whipped around the boards. Derek Sutliff at the left point fires it hotly across the line. It sails back into neutral territory. Dakota Kletcha is under duress. Nolan Sheeran picks his pocket, and Kletcha fends him off. And now it's taken behind the net by Nick Minerva, a New Jersey-born defenseman with 30 seconds remaining on this power play brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe. Kletcha receives the pass and takes a snapshot, denied by the pads of Kelly. Collected in the far corner. David Mazurik's got it. It's been whipped over the blue line, off the stick of Minerva and down. Nick Minerva, the Mayhem's youngest player, will retrieve it in his own zone. He allows Sutliff to curl back and pass on through. And that'll just about do it. The Mayhem dropping to 0 for 1 on the Wild Wing Cafe power play tonight. Fayetteville returns to full strength as the ex-Mayhem Darren McCormick skates back to his bench. McCormick last season scored 22 goals under the tutelage of Kevin Kerr. 33 points in 38 games last season for the Mayhem. Taylor Love will chip it into the zone from neutral territory. John Seamer's in a scrap for possession. He will leave it off. Seth Ronsberg's got it in the corner. Tries the centering pass. It was interrupted on the way through by Paul Frasio, and now it's McCloy from the red line who sends it into the opposite corner. Jarrett Cupp is first there. Shovels a backhand pass up to Jake Trask. Seamer springs Love, who's got a 3-on-2 developing. Ronsberg receives the pass on the left side, and his shot is blocked by Travis Jake. It's reversed inside of the trapezoid. Ronsberg is knocked off possession of the puck by Alfred Johansson, and Fayetteville will commence the counterattack. McCloy swivels his way over the blue line and holds up at the left half wall. A turnaround attempt by Travis Jake flutters over the goal harmlessly, and now it's Minerva scooping it up and feeding Jake Trask the pass on his off wing. Trask will just chip it into the zone from center and head to the Macon bench to complete a line change as Jake will pick it up from in behind his own goal line. Whistles have been few and far between so far in this game, possibly even non-existent. Other than the fight, I don't think we've had a whistle at all in this game so far. Nick Minerva is wrapped up. He's taken into the corner boards by Jake Hausworth, the Fayetteville captain. Cameron taps it along. Justin Levesque, his fellow Canadian, goes after it in the corner on the far side. He is checked pretty hard, stays on the puck somehow. He looks and shoots. It slowly slides through the blue paint, and Alexander Tallien is knocked off possession. It's been cleared by Thacker out to center. That was Cook, rather. Love gets it past Hausworth. Levesque's got it at the red line. Love sends it back into Fayetteville territory. Frasio scoops it up and flutters it off the glass. Paul Frasio was coached by Ryan Michael last season at SUNY Cortland, the former Roanoke Rail Yard dog. The Mayhem's assistant coach getting to know Paul Frasio pretty well last season, number 7 in white. Kyle Thacker slips away from Sutliff, sends a pass up the left side for Nolan Sheeran. He will pull the trigger, stopped by Creel. Big rebound out to the bottom of the right circle. as it's whacked by David Mazurik along the end boards out to the far side. Jimmy Soper will scoop up the loose puck, try to clear it, kept in the zone by Sheeran. Jarrett Cupp sends it in front of his own net for Kristaps Bazovics. His pass is intercepted in front of the Macon bench by Cody Brown. Cody Brown, somebody who was invited to training camp in Macon back in August, played 4 seasons of Canadian college hockey at the University of Western Ontario. Puck's been shoveled across the slot there by Jake Hausworth, but to no avail. Sutliff picks it up off the carom. He will drop it to John Seamer above the left circle, who centers it. Tapped on goal by Minerva. Big save by Kelly, and the rebound is held by Kelly. Nice couple of saves by the Fayetteville goaltender. Boy, folks, that was at least, that's got to be 6 straight minutes without a whistle. And because of that, we're going to head to our first period media timeout. The Mayhem equipment manager, Bones, escorting Dakota Kletcha down the tunnel to take a look at some piece of equipment. In the meantime, we'll be back in about 40 or 50 seconds, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
Next season, the Mayhem are offering the most inclusive and rewarding ticket package in team history. These perks extend over all 28 home games at the Macon Centreplex. Your season ticket package gets you 2 buddy passes to any of the 28 home games, a 32-ounce Mayhem souvenir cup with $3 refills, a discounted season-long parking pass with access to VIP parking, 10% savings at the Mac Shack, a Mayhem lanyard, early access to the arena before games, VIP entrance to the arena, 3 exclusive team gifts, talk with the coach before the games, and much more. Head to MaconMayhem.com to check out how you can secure your spot for the 2018-2019 season of Mayhem Hockey.
John Seamer with an offensive zone face-off win, but it's taken away from him immediately thereafter by Taylor Price and cleared into Macon territory. Minerva taps it out past Jake Trask. It's rimmed back in off the backboards. It bounces, and Kristaps Bazovics is there to play it. He will shovel a pass out to Trask in front of his own bench. He begins the rush into the Fayetteville zone. Sends one the width of the ice. Caroms off the glass, and it's been cleared out by Tyler Palmer. I think it went off of Keplinger's stick and off the protective netting afterwards. So the face-off will ensue in the neutral zone. As a reminder, folks, don't forget to register your Wiener Dog for the Wiener Dog races if you haven't already. Tomorrow night, the Mayhem hosting their Pucks and Paws night presented by Noah's Ark Pets and Grooming. The fastest 3 Wiener Dogs from the race in the first intermission will receive prizes from Noah's Ark Pets and Grooming. Keplinger starts it over the blue line. He is onside as he airmails the pass over outside of the hash marks in the far circle. Tanner Creel steers the puck aside into the corner. It bounces in the Mayhem zone. And it's been centered by Cook. Loose puck in the slot. Point blank chance. Big save by Creel. His first huge stop of this game on Travis Jake, a very dangerous defenseman. Second in the entire SPHL in scoring this season. Travis Jake with 28 points on the campaign trails only Knoxville's Doug Rose. Zach Urban and Corey Melkert have been let out of their respective penalty boxes, and Urban's back on the ice at the moment, fighting for that loose puck along the far half wall. It caroms off the skates of Seamer. He receives the pass by Keplinger. Seamer will march his way back into the Fayetteville zone before being dispossessed immediately thereafter. Sheeran loses it to Larry Smith. Minerva slides it the width now to Caleb Cameron. He will send it wide of the net. Dylan Kelly never had to make a play on it. Frazio collects it in the far corner. Good skate-to-stick reception at center ice by Joe Osaka. And the Japanese winger graduated from New England College last season in his first pro campaign. And Jake Hausworth in the far corner. Larry Smith jars the puck free. Justin Levesque curls it up to his forehand and then sends it into the Fayetteville zone before going after it. Frazio beats him to it. Cameron nearly forced a takeaway. Jake Hausworth, the 31-year-old oldest player on the ice tonight, Fayetteville's captain. In his 10th professional season, played 3 seasons in the ECHL from 2012 to 2015. Zach Urban blasted in from center ice in front of the Fayetteville bench. Now Derek Sutliff goes fighting for it with Frazier. Jimmy's the puck free, sends it back to Urban, and another Kristaps mishap at the blue line as it squeaks back out into the neutral zone. Derek Sutliff will rattle it behind the cage. Travis Jake's attempted clear is blocked by Cup. He shoots, shoulder save, big rebound in the crease. Cleared aside, and the Marksmen have eluded the danger for now as it's brought forth by Travis Jake, who curls it over the blue line and rifles a shot that's fought off by Tanner Creel. Alexander Tallien fights for it. It's sent around the end wall out to the near side. Derek Sutliff is under pressure from Darren McCormick. We're nearly halfway through period one. No score yet, but a lot of good opportunities. Taylor Love scoops up the loose puck, and Derek Sutliff with a touch pass out towards Tallien. It's whacked away from him. Soper has to recollect it in his own zone. Soper will carry behind his own net. He leaves it off for Jarrett Cup, who sustains a check but got rid of it. Love up to Keplinger. He's in across the red line. Keplinger's pass is behind Trask. David Mazurik feeds it over to Nolan Sheeran. Nick Minerva steps up, delivers a hit. Cook will chase it down. He gets there first. Good stick lift by Smith, who then gave it away. And Sheeran is in tight, but he's surrounded by Navy sweaters. One of them, Keplinger, took it away from him, who will send it over to John Seamer. Gets the return from Seamer. He will snap a shot off. Bounces over the net. Nick Minerva had an opportunity from that blocked shot, and it's been shoveled off the glass by Corey Melkert out into neutral territory. Here's Cook in across the blue line. In the right circle, dances in and shoots. Nice pad save by Tanner Creel. Nice move by Cook just a moment ago. Centering attempt for McCloy, who hammered it over the crossbar, stays in the zone as it went off the backboard glass. Now Fayetteville recoiling possession as Jake had it, but a whistle blows. Steven Saylor blew the whistle. We'll see what the cause is. It might be a penalty against the Marksmen. There might have been a bench minor. It's tough to tell. But Cody Brown is going to have a seat. Mayhem will be going to their second power play of the game, it appears. And Cody Brown is actually sent back to the Fayetteville bench and is replaced by Joe Osaka. So my guess is that this was a bench minor, and Jesse Kalicki is allowed to choose who he wants to serve the minor. So he probably chose somebody who doesn't spend a lot of time on penalty kills, and if I'm not mistaken, that decision was Joe Osaka. So Brown returns to the Fayetteville bench, Osaka to the sin bin. That penalty box brought to you by Allstate Bonding. The Mayhem going to work on their second power play of the game. This Mayhem power play brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe as Alexander Tallien digs the puck free from that four-player scrap. Zach Urban back to Tallien in the far half boards, and Keplinger steps in to fight for it against Corey Melkert. Urban taps it along to Sutliff on the left wing. Derek Sutliff, he centers it. Keplinger tried an attempted shot. Never reached the net. Ultimately went out the side of the goal, it looked like. Sutliff has it with a little bit of space. He will send it to the goal line and get a return pass that was broken up by Taylor Price and cleared all the way down. Tanner Creel inside of his own trapezoid will leave it out for Zach Urban. Urban dishes to his right for Dakota Kletcha, his roommate. Kletcha loses his balance as he was met by Nolan Sheeran. Nice keep by Urban at the line. Sutliff has some space. He fires it wide of the right post as it squeaks past Kletcha's outstretched stick at the point, and Zach Urban will cover some ground for him. Urban steps out from in front of his own net and feeds Sutliff on him on the left and gives a nice diagonal pass up to John Seamer. Seamer's cross-crease attempt ultimately lands in the glove of Cameron. He will reverse it up the boards for Sutliff. Sutliff taps it back to his former teammate with the Mississippi River Kings, Kristaps Bazovic. Sutliff put it in front, backhand pass from Soper outside of the breadbasket of Cameron. The Marksmen are able to clear it just past their own blue line and ultimately beyond that as it was blasted just wide of the net by Alfred Johansson. Bazovic scooping it up behind his own goal. 22 seconds remain on this Wild Wing Cafe power play. 7:12 to go in the period. Seamer is in over the blue line. He will feed Jimmy Soper the pass. Soper shovels it down the boards and behind the net. Seamer's got it again. Melkert fights for Soper, or fights for possession with Soper, I should say. Now Cameron circles into the outer hash marks. Jammed around to the near half wall for Trask. He was pickpocketed by McCloy. He will swivel his way through center over the blue line. Whacked aside by Seamer, who was sort of playing as a defenseman there just moments ago. The Mayhem guilty of icing, and they'll have to keep this awkward unit out there. Right now the Mayhem have 4 forwards and only 1 defenseman, which is why Seamer was the lone man back in that situation. 6:39 to play in the first period. No score yet. Fayetteville with a pretty good opportunity here with an offensive zone draw. They've not had a lot of those at all. To be fair, though, neither team's really had a lot of face-offs. There have hardly been any whistles. It's been a really fast-moving period. Only 6:39 to play in the first. No score. Macon with a clean win defensively on the draw. Trask's pass just missing Soper. Soper passes it to himself nicely off the boards. He drives, attempts the pass, broken up by a diving Alfred Johansson. The Swedish defenseman is able to clear it as far as the point. No further than that. Kristaps kept it in, and it looks like it went off the protective netting. Here the Tommy's birthday suite logo sign, rather, right above the birthday suite. In a couple of weeks, folks, the Mayhem will have their Military Appreciation Weekend on March 15th and 16th. They will be hosting the Huntsville Havoc for the final time this season. For tickets, visit the Mayhem website, maconmayhem.com, or just swing by the box office right here at 200 Coliseum Drive in Macon, Georgia. Max Cook. Levesque holds at the line just barely. Lots of players fighting for that puck. Finally, it's skated out of there by Max Cook, who's defended 1-against-1 on Larry Smith. Nick Minerva was down at center ice, just now gets back to his skates. Kept in the zone nicely by Cook, who skates it down the circle on the left wing. He carries behind the net. Creel holding the post, and Levesque will receive the loose puck. Kletcha makes a break for it. Levesque sends a pass his way. Thacker interrupted it. Kletcha gets it and centers it, hoping for Levesque. Loose puck in the middle. Ronsberg picks it up, turns, shoots. Flutters into the corner. I believe it was blocked, and Thacker's clearing attempt works out for Fayetteville as it's raced through center by Taylor Price, who attempted to split the D. Ronsberg prevented that from happening. He will now skate to the Macon bench as Levesque will do the same after dumping it in. Tallene delivered the check and forced Corey Melkert to get rid of it quickly. Cup spins it back into Fayetteville territory. Shots right now 8-5 favoring Macon, but the Mayhem have been, I'd say, more dominant so far in this game than that would suggest. And there's going to be a penalty called against Alexander Tallene. Travis Jake steps into the high slot and fires. Tanner Creel makes the save. We'll be back in just a second, folks. Got some audio looks like some technical difficulties on SPHL Live. So Jake Hausworth receives it in the corner on the far side. It's wheeled back up to the blue line. Travis Jake redelivers. Hausworth above the left circle snaps a shot that sails into the corner on the near side. Soper picks it up. He's joined by Jarrett Cup on his right. The pass is nearly received by Cup, just barely outside of his reach. Cup is checked by Travis Jake in the meantime, and Jake will take his time behind his own net. Sent into the zone in the Larry Smith corner. He twists it back out to Fayetteville territory. Thacker has it behind his own cage. And now skating down the right wing side will be Cody Brown. Brown centers a pass. Keelik takes a drive in on Smith. He shoveled a backhand shot wide of the right post. Jake holds it in the zone. Thacker at the blue line at the right point will spin it down to Cody Brown. His shot was blocked by Larry Smith. And the Mayhem have jostled the puck out of the zone, courtesy of Larry Smith. Fayetteville with time winding down on their power play, which has been lethal this season, folks. Second in the SPHL, in large part due to the efforts of Travis Jake quarterbacking things from the blue line. Now it's going to be skated through the defensive zone by Cody Brown, up through center, accelerates over the blue line and fires. Tanner Creel is square to the shot, makes the butterfly save and surrenders no rebound. 3:19 to play in the first period, 6 seconds to go on the power play for Fayetteville. The penalty was called against Alexander Tallene, much to the displeasure of the crowd here. Tallene, who was the SPHL leader in penalty minutes this season, is no longer, because Nick Wright took that title for his own when he fought against Nick Ronsberg 8 days ago in this building. I asked Seth Ronsberg a little bit about that decision to fight Nick Wright, who's listed on Evansville's website as being 6'4", 215, which seems to me is a gross underestimation. But Ronsberg said he sort of attested to that point as well, and said he didn't necessarily want to fight, and he was approached by Wright during warm-ups, and Wright said that he wanted to go because he was going to lead the SPHL in fights had Ronsberg obliged. So Ronsberg decided, you know what, I'll give it to you, and they fought. So Tallene now standing in the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. We apologize for the brief interruption, by the way, folks, on SPHL Live. A loose HDMI cable. We'll address that during the first intermission, make sure that doesn't happen again. But if it does happen again in the remaining 3 minutes and 19 seconds, just know that it'll be fixed at the latest before the second period starts. So Tanner Creel makes the final save on the penalty kill. Alexander Tallene is let out of the box. The Mayhem return to full strength. That Mayhem penalty kill is brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning. Both teams perfect on the PK thus far. As racing down the right wing side into the zone will be McCloy, who takes a sharp angle shot. Tanner Creel is able to make the stop with relative ease. He will hang on to it. Inside of 3 minutes remaining in the first period. No score at the Mac Shack. Thanks so much for joining us, folks, on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Hope you're enjoying your Friday night. The Mayhem hoping to bounce back from last night. A well-played game for the most part, but they couldn't secure any points from the Birmingham Bulls, who extended their lead on second place in the SPHL. Mayhem on a 3-game losing skid here, hoping to snap that as well this evening. Over the years, they've played exceptionally well against Fayetteville in this building. John Seamer with a clean defensive zone face-off win. Bazovic is able to flutter it over Keplinger's head. Cleared back into the Macon zone from the red line by Paul Frazio. Halted by Creel, given from Urban now to Bazovic. Keplinger was under pressure. It was turned over to Cook. A wrist shot from above the left circle is blocked. Bazovic for Keplinger now. And now here's Nolan Sheeran. He works his way into the zone, drops it. Sheeran gets the return. Loose puck in the far corner, batted up towards Trask. He will spin a pass to Seamer, who negotiates his way across the blue line. Keplinger feeds Seamer. Attempted a touch pass all the way back to the point that was broken up. Thacker's got it behind his own cage. Frazio now in the far corner will angle it off the boards out into the neutral zone. Larry Smith guiding it back to Kristaps. And Bazovic was short of the red line when he sent that in, so an icing call is forthcoming against Macon. 2:03 to play in the first period. No score between the Mayhem and the Fayetteville Marksmen. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. And the Mayhem will go to a defensive zone draw. Unlike last night, it's a full night around the SPHL. All 10 teams are in action. Peoria hosting Knoxville, Quad City hosting Roanoke, and Huntsville hosting Birmingham. Pensacola is in Evansville tonight, but that game is yet to begin. 7:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. Puck drop 9 minutes or so from now. Creel gets set as Levesque attempts the defensive zone face-off. And Hausworth, it looked like, barely got the edge, and a slow trickler on net is easily stopped by Tanner Creel. The Mayhem will change personnel now that they have the chance to, as they couldn't last time because of the icing. And Larry Smith, Justin Levesque decide to stay out there. Levesque joined by Kletcha and Cameron on his line. Good to see Kletcha back out there. We weren't sure if we'd see him again, as a face-off shot by McCloy is snagged by Creel. We weren't sure if we were going to see Kletcha again this period because he went down the tunnel with Bones, the equipment manager. They have something looked at, and Bones does an outstanding job. He's been around the league a long time. He can fix most minor issues in a jiffy. Justin Levesque jumped the gun, and I think he's going to be booted from the dot. Well, Lorenz allows him to continue. He wins the face-off. It's shoveled along by Cody Brown up ultimately to the right point, and Tyler Palmer is able to keep it in the zone. We'll send it behind the net. Larry Smith gets it first, and Kletcha will just slip one out. Palmer pressured by Cameron, got rid of it, and McCloy had it stolen from him by Cameron as well. Palmer to Chris Brown, or rather Cody Brown, who dumps it into the zone, and Tanner Creel stops it. Kletcha flutters a pass over to Levesque. No look, swat out of the air with it, and Cameron will dish it up to Levesque again. He's pressured closely by Travis Jake. And the Marksmen really heavy on the backside pressure. They don't allow for those passes from the defensive zone out to neutral territory to have any sort of meaning, as Price will drive down the right side and spins a backhand shot on goal. Tanner Creel didn't move an inch. He made the stop. And the Marksmen doing a good job sort of trapping the Mayhem in their own zone. They're anticipating the breakout passes and reading them like a book. The Mayhem too predictable right now in their breakouts, which is why they have not been able to get into the offensive zone in some time. 57.5 seconds remain in the first period. Still no score at the Macon Centreplex. For tickets to a Mayhem game, folks, if you've got a group of 10 or more, call the Mayhem front office at 478-803-1592. You'll get discounted tickets at $13 a piece, free hats, and an experience upgrade of your choosing. And Jake Hausworth lines up against Jimmy Soper in the right circle in the Macon zone. An 8-year age difference between the two of them. Hausworth won the draw. Jake with a slap shot stopped by Creel. Nice save. He was square to that shot all the way through. 52.3 seconds remain in the first. Still scoreless at the Macon Centreplex. What went from being a very fast-paced first period has turned into a pretty slow-moving first period with lots of whistles intermittent. Soper guides it on over to Alexander Tallien, who spins it back to Soper, kicks it up to Sutliff, joins in on the rush. Sutliff, curl and drag move, lost the puck to Thacker. It's been cleared off the glass, rather it was Jake, and McCormick kicks it into his path, recovers, right circle, has a step, he shoots, he scores. Darren McCormick, with 32.8 seconds remaining in the first period, made the Mayhem pay for a costly pinch. And the ex-Macon Mayhem forward has just tied Jake Trask and Ryan Salkeld for the league lead in goals with 20 on the campaign, and has given the Marksmen a 1-0 lead. Darren McCormick, a sniper by nature. He didn't exactly fit into Kevin Kerr's system last season when he was before he was traded to Fayetteville, but he's a natural goal scorer. He's got a touch for the back of the net, and that much has been evident this season, especially against the Mayhem, it seems. As Seamer gets a chance now on the counterattack, but his shot was blocked by Thacker's stick. 10 seconds remain in the period. Larry Smith circles back into his own zone. His pass out to center is redirected by Keplinger, who fans on the clearing attempt. Been whacked directly out of play, but the referee is not going to stop this game for a neutral zone draw with 1 second left. So the whistle blows, the horn sounds, and play has stopped for the time being. The Marksmen getting on the board late in period one. It was Macon's game for the most part throughout, I'd say, the first 3 quarters or so of that first period. They had the superior chances. They had more chances. They had more offensive zone time. Dylan Kelly did what he had to do to keep his team, to keep the game scoreless. And Tanner Creel had a pretty good start to the game as well. It looks like at the end of the period, by the end, he was the busier of the 2 goaltenders. But he did allow 1 goal at the end. It was Darren McCormick's. McCormick, the former Mayhem, just racing down the right wing side. Didn't even look like he thought about passing the puck on that 2-on-1. He knew he could snipe it inside the left post. It was really pretty much a perfectly placed shot by number 22 in white. And again, that was his 20th goal of the season. He tied Trask and Salkad for the league lead and gave Fayetteville a 1-0 advantage in a period that otherwise was pretty well played by Macon. So the opposite situation that we had on hand yesterday, the Mayhem going into the first intermission leading 1-0, now down 1-0. And unlike yesterday as well, the power play's not perfect in the slightest. The PK has been really strong for both sides. Macon's power play fought off both times by Fayetteville's PK. And the Marksmen's lone power play that they had, and their power play has been good this season. The Mayhem looked sharp on the PK all weekend. That's been the tale of the tape. The Mayhem have looked good on the PK. Not only last night, but tonight in the small sample size they've had, they've been pretty good as well. So we're going to take a time out on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. For those of you who didn't hear yesterday, we're going to play back the Coaches Show line change that we just started doing every Tuesday night at the Rookery. We've had a lot of fun doing that so far this season, and we shot our 3rd installment of that show this past Tuesday. On February 26th, and had a good time. Had Seth Ronsberg and Zach Urban on the air. So we'll play that back for you, folks. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy it. We'll be back afterwards to break down this first period in greater detail and look around the SPHL for your out-of-town scoreboard update. Keep it right here, folks. All right, guys, well, we're going to get started here. Thanks so much for being here and being a part of our 3rd installment of Line Change with Coach Thomas. It looks like it's just 2 tables tonight, so you guys are going to get a lot of attention. Any question that you could possibly ever have to ask, you can ask it, and we'll answer it for you. So that's the good news. First thing I want to do is sort of recap the weekend. The Mayhem, they snapped a pretty long winless skid, which was huge. They beat Evansville on Thursday night, 6-2 final. A huge win for the team to get back on the winning trail and get their morale back. Coach, I need to ask you what the feeling was like in the locker room and on the bench after that one was in the bag on Thursday night last week.
No, obviously it's a good feeling snapping a streak like that. But no, it was a good feeling. I told the guys it was a must-win, so I'm glad that they showed up and we got the 2 points. And the rest of the weekend, still thought we played a pretty decent game. We just didn't get the results that we wanted.
Yeah, and then you guys made the trip up to Huntsville on Friday and Saturday. It's always a hostile building to play in. They do a good job lighting it up, and they did again this past weekend. We got to go up as a front office staff. We had our own sort of takeaways that we took from it. But what were some of the takeaways that you guys had from the weekend from a hockey standpoint?
Me or
Anyone can chime in, yeah.
Did you guys hear that, or you want me to?
You got to start us off.
Oh, okay. Well, what I took away from it obviously is, that's a team they're the defending champs. They showed up that weekend and in front of a great crowd like they always do. They pretty much have a sold out crowd there every game, and they do a lot of good stuff there. And fortunately, we didn't, like I said, get the results that we wanted. Well, we played better than we have been.
Now, Zach, you can feel free to chime in on this one. Nick Minerva, he got his first goal with the Mayhem. I could see just, hundreds of miles away watching on SPHL Live how fired up he was, and he's a pretty fiery guy as it is. I can only imagine how he was feeling after that one. Coach or Zach, you guys care to elaborate on the feeling of Nick Minerva after that strike?
Well, I got to ask, why am I exempt from this one?
Well, he's a fellow defense. I guess you played defense with him, too.
Yeah, not a big deal. That's all right.
You're a rover guy.
Yeah, Ron, if your feelings are hurt, you can chime in by all means.
Yeah, they're hurt.
I think everyone is pretty excited for him. Like, we've talked about it for a while now that he hasn't scored yet, his first pro goal, and it happened pretty quick in the third period, 5 seconds in. So. Pretty excited on the bench. I know Mike's was pretty pumped, so it was a good feeling for everyone, and I know he was happy about it. So.
Yeah, and I think that was the fastest goal anyone on the team had scored in terms of after a period started, just 5 seconds, and just like that, the game was tied. All right, Coach, last question for you before I sort of shift the attention to our guests here. We had a new signing today, Josh Keplinger, as forward, senior captain from Lawrence University. You saw him practice today. What sort of prompted that decision to bring Josh aboard, and in what areas do you feel he'll be able to help the team?
Yeah, obviously this time with college guys becoming available, you kind of want to get a look at them now, and obviously for years after this year and the year after that. So just wanted to bring him in, get a fresh face in here, and he's a kid who's pretty decent sized. He's got a good shot. He can put the puck in the net. So on a line with Levesque and Clutcha just to start today in practice, and he didn't look out of place, so that's a good thing.
Do you expect that to most likely be his line based on the way he played on Thursday night?
I hope so. It all depends. Obviously Soper's off the IR, but I'm not sure right now if he's going to start the weekend, so
Okay.
It all depends on that. Might have to switch the lines just around for maybe the first 2 games this weekend, so we'll see.
Now, Seth, I want to address the next question to you here. You've made quite the impression this season as being somebody who can really do it all, sort of a renaissance man. You've scored goals, you've assisted, you've played forward, you've played defense, you've fought. You even coached in a game back on December 14th against Fayetteville. Has that always just sort of been your personality, as somebody who will just do whatever it takes to help the team win?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, coming in last year with Kersey as head coach, I told him, I said, whatever you need me to do to help us win a championship, let me know, because I'll play whatever role you want. I came back this year with Coach Leo and told him the same thing, and I don't really care how we win or how big or how little my part is. Granted, I'd love a big part and a lot of responsibility. But if that's, if that's the role I have to take on, then I will. If the team's winning, I'm happy. If I have 0 goals, but I'm doing whatever I need to do to help the team win, then good. Because it's a team game, and in the end of the stretch here, the championship's the end goal. So if whatever it takes to get that championship back to Macon is what I want to help with, and it's not, I can't do everything myself, but I can try to do as much as I can.
Right. And speaking of doing as much as you can, I noticed a scar on your face. We've seen plenty of shiners from this season. I don't know if we've seen any scars, though. Is that from Thursday night?
No, this was from last year. I got the skate in the face last year, so
Okay.
that was in Knoxville.
Gotcha. But Thursday night, you did get into a scrap with Nick Wright. He's an enforcer. He leads the league in penalty minutes, and he's a big boy. The Evansville website has him listed at 6'4", 215, and to me that sounds like a gross underestimate. Can you elaborate on that scrap a little bit?
Yeah, the guy approached me in warm-ups asking if I needed a fight tonight, and I told him, I said, man, I'm pretty banged up, like, I really don't. And he goes, all right, so I can just play tonight? I go, yeah, like, do me a favor and just keep it clean, and we're good. And he goes, all right, thanks. And then he comes back and he goes, he goes, man, I just realized if I get another fight, I'm leading the league in fights. Like, is it still no? And I'm like, well, come talk to me. Like, we'll see how the game's going. And he goes, all right. And then he was running at guys like a moron. He was chirping talls, and I just had enough. And I was like, you know what, like, right, or like, and he asked me, and I was like, yeah, like now, like, let's go. We're going now. And it didn't. I mean, it honestly didn't work out in my favor. Stepping on that stick and looking like an idiot, but it is what it is. And
That counts.
yeah, I mean, he finally settled down and he got his fight in. And granted, I wish I would have done a little better and gave the fans more of a show, but. Yeah, that's how that one started.
Yeah. In your defense, it's quite the adversary you had, and stepping on the stick, that's unfortunate,
Yeah.
but that does happen. Those staged fights, when I say staged, I don't mean fake. I mean staged in the sense that they were planned. It's not a reactionary fight. Those are always fun to watch when there's mutual agreement before it happens, right before the face-off, and the puck drops, and all of a sudden, two big boys going at it. Zach, I want to address this next question to you. You were promoted to alternate captain shortly after your return from Toledo. It's your second season, second pro season, second season with the Mayhem. Was that something you expected, being in just your second campaign here?
No, not exactly. I kind of just have the same mindset coming to the rink every day, regardless of that kind of thing or leadership. So I'm going to lead the same way that I would lead if I was a first-year player, if I've been here for multiple years. That's just kind of who I am. So, yeah, that's about it on that.
And speaking of leadership, you're sort of the leader of the blue line. The Mayhem have a really young defense corps. Coming into the season, there's sort of a lot of hype and glamour about the team's scoring potential, with a lot of big-name players returning that have been, high-scoring players in this league for years. Your Jake Trasks and your John Seamers and Stathis and Dakota Kletcha and others. The D corps, on the other hand, not as many sort of veteran players like that. And yet the calling card for the Mayhem this season has been their ability to keep pucks out of their net. They've improved a lot in that respect from last year to this year. You were here last year. What do you suppose has been different?
I think we've just been kind of more consistent. Like back there, I think guys are getting used to playing with each other a lot more. I know that some guys have been in and out of the lineup with little injuries or call-ups and that kind of thing, but I think the forwards definitely help us a lot, and we had very good goaltending as well, so kind of all helps hand in hand of defending the net.
Yeah, we have, and you guys missed it last week. The goaltenders, Tanner Creel and Ian Silvas, were both here. Goalies always put on a show and stuff like this, but it's all right. I'm sure we'll have them back at some point for the rest of the season. That's all the questions I have. Did you guys somebody want to say something? Okay. That's all the questions I have. This time we're going to open the floor up to discussion, questions, comments, concerns, anything you guys would like to add or ask these fellows up here. Be our guests. The floor is yours.
I could literally,
Go ahead.
Last week, we asked our goalies what some of the good pranks. We know that there's a push to maybe get some of those going a little bit more with the Mayhem. So what are some of your top go-to pranks? Favorite? Yeah.
Trying to think of
like ones we can tell you guys, or I mean, there's little ones we can do, like in the locker room. Zach doesn't even know that I've been doing this lately or that I'm the guy, but I've been shoving gum in his gloves before he goes out to practice. So he's got to dig them out of his fingers, and that's just a fun little one to do just in the morning to get the mood up a little bit. There used to be ones you could do, like snip a guy's laces, so he's in the middle of tying his skates. He's got to redo his skates and everything, but our equipment guy would get pretty pissed off at us, so we can't do that anymore. Not with Bonesy.
Bones.
But I mean, that's a couple off the top of my head on herbs.
I've been no pranks this year, trying to be a little more serious.
Right.
Yeah, he's
pull
lying.
the hair out of his mohawk with something like that. Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, just little fun ones. I mean, there's pranks on the road and stuff, but nothing crazy.
Good question. Sean.
So, Seth, you're one of the older players on the team. Do you feel like that changes your role at all from when you were younger in the league coming up to now?
Yeah, when I mean, heck, my first year in the league, Coach was captain of the first team I was on. But I mean, watching from back when Coach played, like Coach was a hard guy to play against. He was always working hard. He would throw. The guy could shoot and score from probably anywhere. Still can. But I watching Coach when he was my captain in Pensacola for a bit, and then just guys like Cole Rui, one of Coach's nemesis, was my other captain, and seeing how they carried themselves on and off the ice, and I just try to support or represent the team as best I can, whether it's on the ice, off the ice, in the community, whatever it is. And now that one of the older guys, it sucks realizing you're one of the older guys. It's always fun being a young guy, right? But there's young guys that come in like me. Nick Minerva's 22. This new guy Igor's just turned 20 or something like that, and even the guy that just came out of college. I was talking to him at practice today. Just keep her going, get the feet moving, whatever it is, and just kind of taking a leadership role. And again, whatever you can do to help the team, I'll do it. So it's a little different, right? But I had 4 years to watch and learn, and now I'm just using the knowledge I've gained over my past seasons to help the team now.
Yeah. We sort of dropped this bit of trivia last week, but since you guys weren't here last week, we'll sort of reiterate it. But the first game the Mayhem played at the Centreplex, Coach Thomas was on the other team, and he actually scored a hat trick. Scored the first goal ever against the Mayhem in our building. So there's that.
Yeah. 2-4.
All right, good questions. Yes, sir.
I was that number for a year.
That's a great question. I'm asking my guys the exact same thing.
More net
Because
traffic.
I tell them that a million times. So the only thing I can do really is try to bring that into practice, kind of drill it in them every chance I can get. I thought we have been doing a better job of it the last few games, but that one stretch, it was pretty bad. Watching video, and you can see it every game or 4 or 5 games in a row. So I know that 1 week I pretty much did it there was at least 1 or 2 drills every day at practice that was just aimed at that, at driving to the net and stopping. So, but we have been doing a little better job of it. And I thought in Evansville, I told the guys if we do it and we score 6 goals. So, and again in Huntsville, we did it a few times. So, but that's one thing. I'm glad you said that because I've seen it and I've been trying to get these guys to do it, right? So we'll try to do a better job, obviously, of being consistent with that. And I'm going to keep drilling it into their heads.
It's not easy. It's not fun. It's not a place on the ice you want to go to. It's called the most dangerous area on the ice for a reason. You're almost guaranteed to take a slash, a cross check when nobody's looking, hit to the back, and sustain a few bruises for the sake of getting your team a good scoring chance. But that's a really good question. That's definitely. Yeah. All right, welcome back, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the first 15 minutes or so of this past week's show, Line Change with Coach Thomas, every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. at the Rookery, 543 Cherry Street in downtown Macon. We hope to see you out there. We'll be there every single Tuesday night on the Creek stage at the Rookery downtown. It's free, so come on by, meet some of your favorite Mayhem players. We'll be sure to advertise who's going to be on the show every Monday or Tuesday before we go on. Coach Thomas and myself will be there every single time. It's a great opportunity to meet your favorite Mayhem players, meet the coach, meet myself up close and personal. Ask us any question you want. Voice any opinion, concern, comment you might have, and we'll be sure to address it for you. You can also sort of linger around in a more casual context afterwards. The players that come by as guests and Coach and myself, we all get a free meal at the Rookery. They've got some delicious milkshakes over there as well. If you haven't tasted them, you're missing out. So enjoy some Mayhem hockey talk with Coach Thomas and myself while enjoying a wonderful meal over at the Rookery in downtown Macon. Every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Second period action just about underway here at the Macon Centreplex. We'll play that, by the way, we'll play the remaining 17 minutes or so of that, of episode 3 of Line Change during the second intermission of tonight's game. So the Marksmen lead by a 1-0 score, courtesy of their top goal scorer's strike at the end of the first period. 32 seconds left to go. Down the right wing side, it was raced by Darren McCormick, and he just sniped it inside the far side post, the blocker post of Creel. And it was a perfectly placed shot by the former Mayhem sniper to give Fayetteville a 1-0 advantage. Period 2 now underway at the Centreplex. We're so thankful to have you on board with us, folks, on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. By the way, to those of you wondering about, hang on a second here, Sheeran gets a point-blank opportunity. A turnaround shot is blocked by Tanner Creel, and Melkert will send it behind the goal line as it's collected now by David Mazurek. And the Canadian will spin one in behind the net. Melkert is all the way down there, the defenseman who's watched by John Seamer. Bazovic whacks it to himself and turns in front of his own net. Those of you wondering about the broadcast issues that we had in the first period shouldn't happen again. We fixed the issue as Trask receives the pass from Keplinger and fires it over the crossbar, bounces off the back of the net as it rattles around to the left point. And Smith taps it in behind the net. Palmer will clear it around the boards, and ultimately it's speared out to center. John Seamer collects it in front of the Fayetteville bench. He will give the pass up to Jake Trask. Trask will send it into the direction of Seamer. He will gun it down behind the Fayetteville cage. Trask secures possession. He then loses it to Mazurek. It's spun by Cody Brown up to Taylor McCloy. Now Melkert's got it behind his own net. An SPHL journeyman's played for 4 different teams since the 2016-17 season, including Roanoke, Evansville, Pensacola, and now Fayetteville. Creel shovels it along the opposite boards, and Dakota Kletcha receives it from him. Levesque will send a pass ahead for Cameron nicely. He is tripped in the slot. Nothing will be called. Levesque goes tumbling awkwardly into the far corner. Play resumes here as the Marksmen skate out to the neutral zone. Jake Hausworth passes it to himself as he takes Minerva into the corner on the near side. Out to the far half wall it goes. A long shot from the boards is denied by Creel's stick. He makes a second save on Alfred Johansson. And the puck squeaks out past Hausworth. Kletcha jostling for it, trying to clear it. A nice keep by Taylor Price. He gets the return in tight from Hausworth. Couldn't get much of a shot off there, and Soper will skate it out of harm's way. Jimmy Soper in his first game back from a 14-game hiatus attempts to split the D, loses the puck, but you got to love the effort. Here's Love getting a pretty good chance. The puck bounced on him at the last second. Fayetteville is out of the woods for now. Big booming body check on Keelik, delivered by Alexander Tallien. That big hit's been brought to you by Harrison's Body Shop Collision Repair. Another huge hit by Tallien, 2 in 1 shift, but Keelik races down the far side and had his backhand shot denied by Tanner Creel with the glove. Alexander Tallien finishing his hits in both zones, the defensive and the offensive zone. That was one of the keys of tonight's game, is finishing hits in all 3 zones. Alexander Tallien certainly abiding by that rule in that last shift. Mayhem switching things up for a defensive zone draw, and Seamer's unit to take the face-off. Keplinger on his right, on his left rather, and Trask on his right. Keplinger ends up with it on his stick following a defensive zone face-off, and Trask will send it back to Kristaps Bazovic. On the return up to Trask, he swoops away from Sheeran, enters the zone on the left wing side. We'll leave it for Seamer from the left circle with a shot that goes off the shoulder of Dylan Kelly, making a nice save. And Mazurek will send it the other way up to Max Cook, who flutters it wide of the crease. Out to the left corner it bounces. Nolan Sheeran, watched carefully by John Seamer, and Bazovic rolls it back up the boards. Chopped free by Trask. He could get a 2-on-1. He's got Keplinger on his left. Trask on the right wing. He sends it over. Keplinger shoots. He scores! Josh Keplinger, not once, but twice in his first professional weekend, has got 2 goals in as many nights. It's a 1-1 score. For those of you listening who weren't here last night, Josh Keplinger made one heck of an entrance. Joined the Mayhem, scored a goal in his second or third shift. Not only his Mayhem debut, his professional debut last night, scored the Mayhem's only goal. Tonight he's got their only goal as well. He's the only player on the Mayhem to have put the puck in the back of the net so far this weekend. So Keplinger, 2 goals in 2 games since he was brought aboard from Lawrence University. And while he was there, he really made a name for himself. A senior captain throughout 4 full seasons at Lawrence University, propelled himself to the top 5 all-time leaderboards in a few categories, one of which was his goals scored, 4th most in Lawrence University history. And he has not missed a beat since jumping up to the professional level. The long point shot is denied by the right pad of Tanner Creel. Angled off the glass, kept in the zone. Johansson put it into the high slot. Derek Sutliff takes it away. And will begin to race back into the Fayetteville zone as he's held up by Travis Jake. Fans wanting an interference penalty. Certainly should have been one, but Steven Saylor keeps his arm down. Soper takes it away at the point. Sutliff sets up shot for the pass. Gets it, shoots, scores! Derek Sutliff with his 17th goal of the season. Jimmy Soper on his first game back from a 14-day game absence is already back on the score sheet. Just like that, the Mayhem have their first lead of the night. It's 2-1. And if you're Jesse Calicky here, you've got to think about using your timeout. The momentum in this building, inexplicable. The difference from 2 minutes ago to now. Just the energy in this place has done a complete 180. And Travis Jake and Alexander Tallien are sitting in the penalty boxes right now. Something must have been said. I'm guessing some sort of unsportsmanlike or roughing penalty. .61 seconds apart from each other. Josh Keplinger strikes at 3:28 into the second period. Derek Sutliff at 4:29. Alexander Tallien right now in the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. Travis Jake on the other side in the Mayhem is Everywhere All-State Bonding penalty box. .31 remain in the second period. Macon has just grabbed the bull by the horns, scoring twice within a minute and a second to take a 2-1 lead. And Jake is given 2 minutes for roughing. And Tallien given 2 minutes for tripping. 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct and 2 minutes for roughing. So, I'm not sure what this is all about, but Zach Urban's going to have to serve the other penalty. Urban is in there, or rather Tallien is in there for tripping. Urban is in there for the roughing. Jake also guilty of roughing, but Tallien did a little extra. So the Mayhem will be shorthanded here early in period 2, immediately after taking their first lead of the night. So it'll be a 5-on-4 Fayetteville power play, if I'm not mistaken. The Mayhem only have 3 skaters out there right now. Or will it be a 5-on-3? It is a 5-on-3. This is very strange. Jake's in the penalty box for Fayetteville, but the Marksmen go to a 5-on-3, and their power play is lethal. I'm not sure I've ever seen something like this. Jake Hausworth receives the pass at the apex of the umbrella. He will switch with Sheeran. Sends it down to the goal line. Sheeran gets the pass in the left circle, taps it right back to McCormick. One-time drive by Hausworth. They score on a very strange 5-on-3 power play. Fayetteville has just quelled the momentum in this building, and the fans are really letting the officials hear it. So Fayetteville striking on a 5-on-3 power play goal, one of the strangest 5-on-3s I've ever seen. And just like that, Fayetteville has tied the game after being given a gift. And Leo Thomas is furious, and you can't blame him. A minute 32 remains on the penalty against Alexander Tallien. It took Fayetteville just 28 seconds to convert on their lethal 5-on-3 power play. And they've still got 92 seconds on the man advantage here. McCormick allows it to go through back to the line from Hausworth to Melkert. Melkert sends it back to Hausworth, tees up a slap shot, Creel the save, rolls back up the slot, and Jimmy Soper is impeded in part by Hausworth, chips it up the boards to himself, gains the line and shoots. And a butterfly stick save is made in net by Dylan Kelly. And McCormick will pursue it now off the near side boards. It bounces. He's shoved by Soper. Picked up by Melkert, who will spin behind his own net with it. 5.5 have gone by in the second period. It's a 2-2 score as it's brought through center ice and dished off to the left side for Jake Hausworth, who looked like he was offside. Nothing is called. And it's tipped off the half wall and cleared down the ice by John Seamer. Caleb Cameron sends it wide of the net. Thacker picks it up along the far half boards. He's pressured by John Seamer. And now it's going to be carried out to center by Tim Keelick and dished off to his left. Nolan Sheeran sends it deep into the Mayhem zone. Bazovic shovels it out. Slides the length of the ice. It's going to go past the goal line. Time ticks off the clock, and the penalty called against Alexander Tallien, who will be let back onto the ice afterwards. Jake will be let onto the ice after the first whistle. Sheeran's pass intercepted by Soper. Had it rolled forward, he might have gotten a breakaway shorthanded. The Mayhem are back to full strength. They've improved to 2 for 3 on the J&J's heating and air conditioning penalty kill. Bazovic is forced to turn. Keelick puts the pressure on him as Jarrett Cup will take over now behind his net. So Fayetteville taking advantage of that 5-on-3 opportunity to tie things right back up and quell Macon's momentum in a heartbeat. Cup rims it around the end wall. Sutliff sends it into the slot. Johansson from the red line will attempt to flutter it into the Macon zone. Seamer read that one, and Sutliff is upended in the neutral zone. Dangerous looking hit. And Joe Osaka, I think, was the culprit behind it, though. I think the majority of the contact there, or lack thereof, is what caused Sutliff to fall that way. I think he was trying to avoid contact with Joe Osaka. Tyler Palmer is hit by Seamer, but he rolled it along his own end wall. It's been cleared up the half boards by Sheeran. Here comes Fayetteville, 2-on-1. Osaka left side. His shot is sticked away by Creel. Minerva will shove it along the boards out to the far half wall. Osaka trying to pry it free from in between the skates of Nick Minerva. Minerva taps it up towards Seamer. Max Cook's got it now. Seamer's unable to clear. The Marksmen are on a delayed offside. They'll just skate back to the bench and change personnel. Seamer's pass goes off a Fayetteville stick, bounces out to Ronsberg. It's recovered in the Fayetteville zone by Corey Melkert, who's cleared it out. Minerva with a bit of a mishap. Cook takes it away, steps into the slot, does a toe drag, but loses the puck, and Creel steers it harmlessly away. Cook fights for it. Will cycle it up to the line for Thacker, whose wrist shot is off the mark. It's whacked up to the neutral zone. It never reaches John Seamer, who's picked off. And Mazurek will now leave it for Thacker. His pass reaches Sheeran. Sheeran floats one ahead towards the net. Dealt aside by Tanner Creel. A battle for possession takes place in the near corner in the Macon zone. Larry Smith fighting with Cody Brown for it. The puck rolls into the high slot. Mazurek will send one out towards Paul Frazier, who turns it wide of the net. It caroms off the near boards, and stepping into the fray, Alfred Johansson. He's hit hard by Keplinger. Fayetteville retains control. Backhand shot from point-blank range. Creel made a couple of saves. Minerva ends up with the loose puck as Trask makes a break for it. Minerva just clears it off the glass and will take an icing in exchange for a breather. And Minerva is trying to hide behind some of his teammates on the bench. He is gassed, absolutely exhausted. I think he might have gotten away with that illegal line change. And the Mayhem catch a break regardless as the buzzer sounds, and we're going to head to our second period media timeout. We'll be back in just a moment, folks, right after these messages.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today.
And if the group package isn't of interest to you folks, we do offer a tremendous fundraising opportunity for you and your organization. Contact the Mayhem front office at 478-803-1592 to take part in our fundraising program. You can raise money for any cause that you like. Buy vouchers from us, we send you a voucher. You sell them for $15. You buy the tickets from us for $10 a piece, and you keep the remaining $5 from each voucher sold to go to whichever cause you like. McCloy ends up with it off the offensive zone faceoff. Had a shot blocked by Love, who airmails it off of McCloy's glove. It's collected at center by Justin Levesque, who recovers the puck in time. He's onside. Trask's slap shot goes wide, misses Keplinger's stick. Turned at the net, save by Dylan Kelly. Keplinger fights for it, but it's Keelik who ends up clearing it out to the neutral zone. Jarrett Cupp kicks it up to his stick and will send it back to Taylor Love. Love's pass redirects towards Cameron. One of the just 3 players in the Mayhem who's played in every game this season, Caleb Cameron, who's been in there all 44. Jarrett Cupp rims it around to Dakota Kletcha on the right wing side. He will send a pass up to Levesque. Levesque is onside as he whistles it just wide of the right post. Cameron gets there first. Has descended up the boards for Love, but it never reaches him. And Fayetteville on the counterattack will begin it back into Macon territory. Price centering. Love is there to intercept. He's got numbers with him as he enters the Fayetteville zone. His shot is blocked by Johansson's skates. Love will just pitch it back into the corner. Johansson is checked by Dakota Kletcha. Caleb Cameron guides it back to the point. Bazovics with a head fake. Sends it at the net. Redirects wide. Kletcha was there screening Dylan Kelly, but he couldn't redirect it on goal. Big body check delivered by Jimmy Soper. In the meantime, McCormick carries back into the zone and shoots. It was blocked by Zach Urban. And we get a whistle because the net came off of its pegs. 9:08 to play in the second period. 2-2 your score here at the Macon Centreplex. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. Keep it right here.
Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
So we didn't really get a chance to go around the SPHL and take a look at our Hampton Inn and Suites out-of-town scoreboard update during the first intermission, so we'll do it real quick right now. Knoxville's actually leading Peoria right now by 1-0 score on the road, which is bad news for the Mayhem. They're hoping that Peoria can actually beat Knoxville to give the Mayhem an up in the standings over the Ice Bears, with whom they are now tied for fourth place, Pensacola leads 2-0 over the Evansville Thunderbolts. Roanoke up 1-0 over Quad City. And the Birmingham Bulls trailing against their interstate rivals, the Huntsville Havoc, 2-1. Here's a shot from the line. It redirects over the elbow of the net, the right elbow, and it looked like it just barely went off the protective netting, and Steven Saylor has blown the whistle. So 9:03 to go in the second period. The period nearly got out of control fast. From Fayetteville's perspective, Macon went from trailing to leading within a minute and 1 second, but immediately after the Mayhem scored the go-ahead goal, they were given a 5-on-3 penalty kill, which I've never seen coming immediately after a goal like that. Hausworth skates over the blue line from a sharp angle on the left wing. Had his shot go well wide of the net. Those boards really fluttering around after that big hit. Sutliff for Bazovics. His pass was too far ahead of Ronsberg. Cody Brown. Well, back to Nolan Sheeran, who's cleared it all the way down. Rather, that was Frasio. No icing as it was redirected. Zach Urban. He whiffs on the pass. Bazovic scoops it up, gives it back to Urban. Urban from in front of his own bench will shovel it into the Fayetteville zone. Minerva bounces it off the stick of John Seamer. Sheeran will send it back to Tyler Palmer, who's cleared it in front of the benches. Smith for Minerva. Angles it off the boards out into the neutral zone. Mazurek flings it back in. Keplinger receives the pass and will spear it one ahead. John Seamer begins the rush into the zone with Jake Trask on his right. Trask's pass is returned in the wheelhouse for Seamer. It bounces off his stick. He recollects it in the corner on the near side. It's checked by Melkert. Keplinger will follow up and feed it back to the point. Love keeps it in the zone just barely, but his shot was blocked. Pinballs in front of the Fayetteville bench. Keplinger up to Trask. Trask will slip one through. Levesque trying to turn. He's knocked down, lands awkwardly as he fights for possession in the near corner. Trask pinned up to the end wall. Keplinger feeding Caleb Cameron, rather Levesque did. Cameron gives it over to Trask in the left circle. Trask shovels it behind the net. Levesque's got it there. Justin Levesque out to the circle for Love, whose shot pad saved by Kelly. Wraparound attempt by Levesque, also smeared by Kelly, and he will take a whistle. Good attempt by Justin Levesque. You don't see that often enough, in my opinion. Those wraparound attempts from behind the net. Those are tricky for goaltenders to save, harder than you would think. Justin Levesque just trying to get it at the net and make something happen, make Dylan Kelly work for it. Shots right now favoring Fayetteville 23-14. The Marksmen just shooting from anywhere and everywhere so far in this game. Zach Urban skates over the blue line from the right wing. He sent it wide of the net. Levesque seals it off from the left half wall. His shot is blocked. Lots of white sweaters in front of Dylan Kelly. It's salvaged at the point again. Levesque's shot, good pad saved by Dylan Kelly, and Caleb Cameron, or rather, yeah, that's Cameron. He went down, draws the penalty. Travis Jake back to the penalty box. He's actually spent a lot of time in there tonight. Travis Jake, as good as he has been on getting on the score sheet this season, he's also been sent to the sin bin quite a bit. He leads all marksmen in penalty minutes by a long shot, which is pretty uncommon. Usually players who are that high scoring don't have time to take penalties like that all the time. So the Mayhem getting their third power play opportunity of this game. Palmer sends it around to Sheeran, who clears it just past his own blue line, and Jake Trask intercepts it. Bazovics chipped it across the blue line, fights for it himself near the left point of the Fayetteville zone. It creeps back into neutral territory. Bazovics is held up there by David Mazurek. The Marksmen retain control. Melkert will just play a little keep away and send it on back. It's Tyler Palmer just ripping it down the ice. Seamer swoops in behind his net and will begin racing out the right wing side. Seamer enters the zone from the half wall. He now carries behind the net, rims it around to Trask at the left half boards. Urban quickly returns it for Trask, who will shovel it back to the point. Seamer, point-to-point pass. Urban tees up a shot. He scores! Zach Urban has scored his first goal of the season. A howitzer from above the right circle. And the Mayhem have regained their lead. It's now 3-2. So that is certainly fitting. Zach Urban's first goal with the Mayhem this season. Assisted by his former teammate at Northern Michigan University, John Seamer, on a power play. Trask will get the other assist. And the Mayhem now with power play goals in back-to-back games. They have regained their lead. It's now 3-2 in favor of Macon. There's a fight going on between Larry Smith, and it looks like that's Paul Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Larry Smith pounding away still. And that's Larry's first fight of the season. He took Frazier down. Five goals, 2 fights. I think this crowd is having fun. A few weeks ago, folks, back in early February when the Peoria Rivermen came to town, back on January 31st, February 1st and 2nd, Larry Smith's family came down all the way from Buffalo, New York to watch him play. Unfortunately, he got injured in the second game and couldn't finish out the series. Didn't play on camo night, which was ironic, but you know, being an avid outdoorsman and all that. But you know, Larry's dad told me that he's a much tougher player than a lot of people would think. He for the most part, he just keeps to himself and plays a quiet, strong defensive game. Very good shutdown defenseman. But he surprises a lot of people because he can really throw punches, and boy, did he just surprise everyone in this building. He really beat up on Paul Frazier. Here's McCloy down the left wing. He centers it over. Good pass. Hausworth with a shot. He scores. And just like that, this game is tied. And talk about a way to silence the crowd. Jake Hausworth has just scored his 17th goal of the season. Immediately after Macon pulled ahead, the Marksmen are right back level. 3-3 is your score with 5:05 to play in the second period. After that fight by Smith, this place was as rowdy as I've heard it all night. And now the audience back to a sort of anxiously hopeful is I guess the word I'd describe them at the moment. That's sort of what they were right after Fayetteville tied the game back earlier in this period to make it 2-2. The same sort of vibe in here. Keelik, right point with a long screen shot. It's patted aside there by Creel, rather blockered aside by Creel, and now Kletcha will spin it up to the red line. Justin Levesque will spin it back to Kletcha. And Kletcha on the right half wall, sending it down to Cameron. Cameron turns the corner and pulls the trigger. I think getting a piece of it was Dylan Kelly. Stays in the zone. Kletcha will shovel it to Levesque. Levesque cuts into the slot and sends a pass over towards Seamer. Never reaches him. Urban tees it up, misfires. Bounces off the backboard glass, and Kletcha will get it to Levesque. Levesque for Cameron. Mayhem cycling the wagons behind the net. Cameron turns out in front. He's knocked down, and scooping up the loose puck is Melkert. He's able to clear it off of Stanchion down the ice. Taylor Love will be first there. 3:53 to play in the second period. It's a 3-3 hockey game, and it's been a fun one tonight at the Macon Centreplex. Thacker turns it over, wraparound attempt. It never works out as Kelly had all angles covered. And Sheeran will get it up to Max Cook. Cook spins with it. He's got numbers in the offensive zone. He pivots to the perimeter and takes it down the left wall. Cook is watched every step of the way by John Seamer. He musters a shot through the traffic. Creel was able to make the save routinely. So a couple of Mayhem blue liners getting into scraps tonight. Zach Urban in the first 29 seconds of the game dropped the gloves. He saw his former teammate at NMU, John Seamer, get checked in a way he didn't approve of by Corey Melkert. Urban dropped the gloves with Melkert, and then moments ago, Larry Smith getting into it with Paul Frazier. So 4 defensemen getting into fights tonight, and Travis Jake with a lot of penalty minutes. There's been a lot of defensemen in the sin bins tonight, folks. Both teams 1 for 3 on the power play. 3:23 remains in this second period. Fayetteville still heavily out shooting Macon, at least according to the shot count. Right now it shows 28-19. Tanner Creel has been the busier of the two goaltenders, but the quality of scoring chances does not seem anywhere near that lopsided. There's Trask attempting to move it. He's able to work it to Urban, who squeaks it out past the blue line. Bazovics with a hard pass up to Keplinger, who corrals it now in the far corner. He twists away from Palmer. Good pass to Seamer, left circle, gets it to Minerva, who's got some room, gives it over. One-timer by Trask is denied. The puck was still loose, but a quick whistle blows the play dead. And Dylan Kelly was not sure where that puck was. I think it was creeping through his 5-hole. Jake Trask was set up nicely by Nick Minerva. Passed it over to him at the side of the net, and that was a pretty quick whistle by Steven Saylor. He lost sight of the puck, and he did what he was instructed to do in that situation. When you lose sight of the puck, if you're a referee, you're supposed to blow the play dead, and that's what Saylor did. But Fayetteville catches a break. Jake Hausworth taking a critical defensive zone draw, ordering his teammates to switch, and it works out. But Bazovic holds it at the line, and at his long wrister, easily stopped by Kelly. Dylan Kelly this season has played 28 games for Jesse Calicky and the Marksmen. He's won 12 of them. He's been the anchor for Fayetteville. They've gone through a lot of goaltending overhauls, but Kelly's been here the whole season. As Cody Brown lost the puck to Alexander Tallene. He can't clear it past Brown. Brown gives it to McCloy now in the left circle. He spins with it. McCloy trying to buy some space. Tallene takes him into the half wall. Spun back behind the net and picked up in the near corner by Joe Osaka. Worked up the boards out in front of the Fayetteville bench. Thacker clears it off the stick of Bazovic, who taps it down out of midair. 2 minutes remain in the second period. 3-3 is your score. Bazovic's long pass sails over the stick of Tallene, and an icing call is forthcoming. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. It's been a wild second period, to say the least, folks. There have been 5 goals compared to 1 in period 1. There have been 6 penalties. 5 of those 6 penalties have either been for fighting, unsportsmanlike, or roughing. It tells you what kind of period it's been. And this is only the first of 4 consecutive games between these two teams. Just imagine what next Saturday night will be like in Fayetteville. Tallene slips up, lands on his wallet, and Mazurek will split the ice up for Max Cook. Cook will drop it back to Alfie Johansson. Mazurek turns an edge on Minerva and then chips it into the zone. Tanner Creel will just halt it, take a whistle on a defensive zone draw. Alfie Johansson, the Swedish-born defenseman, St. Norbert College grad, came over in the Carl Greco deal with the Pensacola Ice Flyers, along with Corey Melkert. Justin Levesque will take the face-off to Creel's left, his glove side. Keelik wins the draw for Fayetteville. McCormick, who opened the scoring way back when, late in the first period, sends it to the left side of the net. The centering attempt goes through the crease. Kletcha receives the outlet pass from Cameron, then turns on the Jets, gets right around Palmer, backhands a shot towards the net. It was blocked by a Fayetteville stick. I believe Thacker got in the way. And now Levesque is held up by Thacker. Kletcha turns with it. Feeds it to Cameron in the deep slot. He's well covered. Gets it to Jarrett Cup. Now to Levesque. Kicks it to his stick. Justin Levesque slips a backhand pass out to Kletcha. Couldn't get much of a shot off as it flutters behind the goal again. Levesque does a spinorama and centers it over for Kletcha, who was not quite prepared for that pass. It went between his stick and his skates, and Fayetteville's Tyler Palmer will skate it out. He sends it at the net. Paddled aside by Creel. Cup whacks it out to neutral territory. Kletcha signals for a line change. We get a whistle and a stoppage, perhaps an illegal line change taking place on the Fayetteville bench. There might be a too many men on the ice penalty or something of the sort. A bench minor. 42.9 seconds remain in the second period. 3-3 is your score. The Mayhem getting ready for an offensive zone face-off, and there will be a penalty against the Marksmen. Too many men on the ice is the call against the Marksmen. Max Cook to the box, and the Mayhem to their fourth power play of this game. They converted on their last opportunity. Zach Urban with a howitzer of a slap shot from above the right circle. This Mayhem power play is presented by Wild Wing Cafe. Fayetteville with a job well done on the defensive zone face-off. Cody Brown receives the pass and clears it into the Macon zone. Karam's off the far corner boards, and Jake Trask catches up to it and spins it behind his own net. Kristaps Bazovic has it. His pass is outside of Jake Trask's reach. Tapped along back towards the red line. Melkert's clearing attempt is swatted down by Bazovic out of midair from his own slot. He will send it up to Seamer. John Seamer centers it. Good pass to Trask. His second pass was intended for Cameron. It was broken up nicely. Seamer back to the blue line for Bazovic's long wrist shot through a screen. Blocked in front in the slot. It's hacked out to the half wall on the near side. Seamer with a shoulder shimmy will run out of time as the second period comes to an end. The Mayhem with 1 minute and 18 seconds remaining on this Wild Wing Cafe power play. Max Cook penalized for too many men on the ice, a bench minor against Fayetteville. And Cook, in his third season with the Marksmen, has been there through the thick and thin since the team changed its name from the Fayetteville Fire Ants. Miami of Ohio grad is going to have to stay in the box for the first minute and 18 seconds of period 3. 3-3 is your score. Let's talk about how we got to that score, because it was pretty wild this second period. It started out with a 1-0 edge in favor of Fayetteville, and 3.5 minutes into the period, Kristaps Bazovic and Jake Trask combined to set up Josh Keplinger for his second goal in as many nights. Keplinger joined in on the 2-on-1 rush with Trask, had his stick on the ice, which is all he had to do. Jake Trask's the Mayhem's top goal scorer, arguably their most skilled player, and was second in the entire SPHL in scoring last season with 69 points. So if you're Josh Keplinger, you've got to be excited to join in on that 2-on-1 rush, and you know that there's a pretty darn good chance that there's going to be a nice pass coming your way. So Keplinger did exactly what he should do in that situation, which was to stay on the rush, not try to overcomplicate things, realize that Jake Trask knows what he's doing, and that he's going to feed him a pretty nice pass right on the money, and that's exactly what Trask did. Keplinger just tapped it in to a gaping 4x6 net past Dylan Kelly to score his second goal in as many nights. I got to tell you, folks, I've been really impressed with Keplinger, not just for the fact that he's scored goals, but that he's shown maturity beyond his years and beyond his experience level in the short time that he's been here. He hasn't tried to overcomplicate his game. He hasn't tried to do things that are beyond his role or beyond his element. He hasn't tried to step on anyone's toes necessarily. He's just come onto the Mayhem's top scoring line with two alternate captains and President's Cup champions, and John Seamer and Jake Trask, who have been in Macon for a long time, and realizes the level of talent that's already on his line, and realizes that he doesn't really necessarily have to do too much except for position himself well and use his big size to help create some space, and the chances will follow. They've been there, and he has executed on those chances. Well, for a while, he was the only play. He had scored twice this weekend before anyone else on the team had scored once. But that did not last long, as 61 seconds after Keplinger opened Macon's scoring tonight, Derek Sutliff gave the Mayhem their first lead of the game. He was set up by Jimmy Soper, who in his first game back after missing 14, given a primary assist following a takeaway in the offensive zone at the blue line, blocking a failed Fayetteville clearing attempt and setting up Sutliff for his 17th goal on the season. Jake Hausworth responded almost immediately thereafter. Just 28 seconds later, the Marksmen were given a head-scratching 5-on-3 power play. This is the first time I've ever seen a team go from scoring a goal to being shorthanded 5-on-3 immediately after the fact. The puck hadn't even dropped yet, and the puck hadn't dropped. Sutliff scored the goal, and by the time the next faceoff took place, the Mayhem were shorthanded 5-on-3. So The penalties were for, and the most confusing part of it all was that Travis Jake was penalized too. I thought, okay, maybe a 5-on-4 if there were offsetting roughing minors, including the unsportsmanlike conduct against Tallene. But unsportsmanlike conduct was given to Tallene and Zach Urban, which is pretty bizarre. And just like that, Fayetteville found itself on a 5-on-3, and within seconds they converted. The Marksmen have a lethal power play, and they showed it on that 5-on-3 man advantage, even without their top power play quarterback and Travis Jake, as he was penalized. So the Marksmen tied the game just 28 seconds after Sutliff put the Mayhem up front. The score was 2-2 for the next nearly 10 minutes. Zach Urban striking, responding with a power play goal of his own. Jake Trask, John Seamer on the assists. Right now on point streaks, that goal by Urban is counted as an empty net goal. I'm not sure why that's the case. Dylan Kelly was certainly in net. The shot was perfectly placed by Zach Urban, low blocker side. Kelly couldn't make the save through the traffic, and Urban scoring his first goal on the season, giving the Mayhem another lead. And then again, right after the Mayhem a pull up front, Fayetteville responds. So you've got to credit the Marksmen. They've done an excellent job tonight, particularly Jake Hausworth in his 10th SPHL season. He's the graybeard out there on the ice, and he's showing his calm, cool collectedness, not allowing the fact that the team's trailing to go to his head at all, staying poised and keeping his focus. And the Marksmen owe him a world of thanks tonight, because he has single-handedly kept his team from falling behind into a deep hole twice. With Taylor McCloy assisting on Jake Hausworth's goal at 14:55 into the second period. That was a 2-on-1 rush. The Mayhem maybe a little bit resting on their laurels after that goal scored by Urban. Seemed like weren't paying close enough attention and giving Jake Hausworth the due defensive diligence that he deserves. Hausworth took advantage. He ripped a shot from the right circle, pretty similar spot to where he scored his first goal. He's got 2 on the night. Jake Hausworth, 18 on the season. And we've got a 3-3 score heading into third period action. At the very end of the second period, Max Cook was penalized for too many men on the ice, a bench minor against Fayetteville. And the Mayhem will have a 1 minute and 18-second long power play when we come back for period 3. But in the meantime, folks, we're going to step aside here on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. We hope you've enjoyed the game up till this point. On the Fayetteville side, we hope you've enjoyed the broadcast thus far. Apologies that Sean Bednar, the voice of the Marksmen, couldn't make it this weekend. He's not feeling well, so wish the best to Sean. Hope he feels better soon. But back in the first intermission, we played the first 16 minutes or so from our line change segment that we did on the Creek on Tuesday night. We're going to play the second half of that, or most of it at least. We probably won't be able to get all of it in, but we'll play some more of the questions that the folks answered at the Rookery on Tuesday, and some of the answers from Zach Urban, Seth Ronsberg, and Coach Thomas and myself. That's coming your way next, folks. Don't go anywhere.
How is that like, having known him from before?
Yeah, that's how I actually got down here. I was talking to him in the summer. I hadn't played at school the past year, so his first year here I wasn't playing hockey, so I ended up talking to him in the summer, and that's how I ended up coming down here last Christmas, was through John.
Do you feel like knowing him like helped make it easier to come?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I probably would never even have heard of Macon, honestly, because I don't really have many friends from out east or anything like that. I'm from out west, so I didn't really know much about it until John was talking to me about it, and that's how I kind of found out about it.
Did you bring your hockey bag with you on the way down?
Yeah, I got lost, though.
Did they do anything like we do for John Seamer with the John Cena remix that they did? Did they do that in Northern Michigan?
No, they didn't
Anything
have
like
much.
it?
They didn't have anything like that. It would have been good, though, in college.
No, for sure.
That would have been a good thing for him in school.
That would have been hilarious.
Zach, you brought up your hometown. It's Bow Valley, Alberta. Is that?
That's a myth.
It's a myth?
Yeah, Bow Valley isn't a place. It's like a general area.
Okay. So what is your hometown?
I'm originally from Calgary. That's where I was born and raised, but I moved out to Kelowna, British Columbia when I was about 12 years old, pursue a hockey academy.
Nice.
So
Rockets.
out west.
Rockets.
Yeah, that was the WHL team there.
Right.
Anything else?
Appreciate that. Yeah, yes, sir.
I would like that also too. You know, anytime you can get 30 to 40 shots on net, I mean, obviously you want the shots closer to the net because then you have a better chance of scoring. But I believe from shooting from everywhere and getting their goalie to, you know, move all game and tire them out or whatever. But that's another thing that we've did better at, I think. You know, I think a couple games we've hit 40 shots or so. So that's always a good thing. And if you're talking more of our defensemen, I would love them to shoot every time they get to the blue line and get pucks through. So sometimes it's hard. I mean, you got guys coming at you blocking shots, and especially when you're playing those teams that are, you know, fast and are willing to put their body on the line to block shots. So no, I definitely would take more longer shots for sure.
For the players, you guys have played hockey throughout your entire lives. So what's your favorite, I guess, best hockey memory from playing?
Go ahead.
Oh, man. You can go first.
My best memory probably from playing was my first year of junior hockey. I played in Penticton, which is just a small town in British Columbia, and we won a national championship there. So that's probably the best memory I have, most vivid memory I have for sure.
I don't know if I have a best memory. I mean, well, we've been playing it for 20 plus years. There's a lot of things that I've loved through my journey so far. I guess maybe my best memory could have been my first pro contract that I signed. That was pretty awesome. I mean, I got a call one summer, and it was actually another one of Coach's teams. It was Fort Wayne. They called and asked if I wanted to come to camp, and made it through camp and signed Al Sims as the coach. And it was actually the lockout year, and they didn't have an affiliate that year, so I was actually really fortunate until 2 days after camp when they got an affiliate, and 14 guys came from the American League to the team. So I met Coach right after that in Pensacola. But that's a pretty awesome moment. And I got to call my dad and, you know, tell him, hey, like, this team's interested, and because he put a lot of energy and time in, helped me, whether it's off ice training, on ice, driving me to the rink, coaching teams I was on, whatever it was, he was always there. So that's probably my best memory or favorite one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not you, Seth. I wasn't talking to you. Yeah.
So you get to be an assistant coach for a game, kind of in a rush and in a pinch. But, I mean, what was your experience like, and do you think that could be something you could do after you have to hang them up?
Yeah, no, it was fun. It got the win, not a big deal. Got to yell at Herbs a little bit. Didn't look quite as good as Coach did on the bench, but I mean, you really didn't have to do a whole lot. It wasn't like I was really juggling lines or anything. We had 5D, right? So I tell a certain couple guys, hey, like, if you're, you know, Herbs and, can't remember who I comparing Herbs and, were we even around actually? I don't even think you were here.
Yeah, I was here for your win.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I remember.
All right. But I mean, I just tell a couple guys if they're having a good shift, like, hey, get ready to go. Like, you guys are playing well, whatever it is. Coach, you know, had the heavy end of the stick there, but he actually looked at me and goes, hey, man, that's near the end of the bench, so give her. And but I mean, I don't know, it was fun. I like coaching. In the summer, I coached like some little guys, but eventually, I'd like to take it up.
Coach told me you went through way more gum than you were expecting. Is that true?
Yeah.
It was at my
I warned them because they always give me.
Good.
They always see me grab handfuls of gum and stick it in my pocket, and then that game I see them like double fisting gum.
Well, I actually had a process to it. I had one on the way out to the bench, and then every TV timeout I put a new piece in. The team was doing good, so I'm like, I gotta keep doing it, right? So every period I did it, but my jaw was sore, and I told Coach, I'm like, man, like, I had so much gum, my jaw is killing me right now. And he's like, I told you, man. So it was good, though.
Yeah, there is a lot. I can confirm there's a lot of gum in that on that bench because we were just shooting for pucks and paws yesterday, and Abby's dog there, she was trying to eat some of the gum on the bench.
Yeah. Like Elf.
Gotta get someone to clean that up.
Yeah.
Oh, I said Wolf. Oh.
Anything else, guys? Yeah.
All right, question for everyone.
Oh, okay.
What, or who I guess is your biggest NFL
Like ever? What if I have two? Scott Stevens and Mike Madonna. They were growing up. I was I was a Devils fan just by virtue of Stevens. It's odd that I play defense now because he was a D-man and I was a forward growing up, but he absolutely hammered people, and so I didn't model my game after him, but I enjoy that part of the game. It always helps too when my dad would, if I turned away from a hit, he's on the bench or in the stands screaming at me like, why is he still standing? Because I didn't knock him over. But and then Mike Madonna played for the North Stars. They moved away from Minnesota before I was born, and then I watched him play in Dallas with Brett Hull too. So I like those two guys.
I'd have to go with probably Nicholas Lidstrom. He's a defenseman for the Detroit Red Wings. He's arguably probably one of the best D-mans of all time. He's never gets beat, puts up points, solid in all areas of his game.
I have two. I would go Wendell Clark, probably. He's probably my first guy growing up. Or I should say Lemieux. Probably both those guys. Wendell Clark was just that guy that kind of did everything. He was a leader, he fought, he scored. And then Lemieux was, to me, the greatest player to ever play. I was more of a Lemieux fan than Gretzky growing up, for sure.
Terry O'Reilly, the Tasmanian Devil.
I know I can go way back, but thought I'd keep it like 80s.
Scott Stevens, when he was in his prime, he beat up my old boss.
Nice. I like that.
I enjoyed watching that video.
Good for Scott.
Yeah, I know.
My old boss was Paul Baxter. You probably know him, Zach. He played on Calgary. You probably heard of him.
I don't remember.
He was a little before your time when he played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going Jerome McGinley days.
Yeah, he was another one. He was another one I was going to say. I was a big Iggy fan, but
That's right.
there's a lot of great players out there.
Guy's an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you said your two greatest heroes were Jerome McGinley and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
Yeah, that's right. I remember these things.
All right. Stone Cold was huge, man.
Yeah.
I was a big Stone Cold fan. But we're talking hockey players, so that's what.
Yeah. Did you want me to answer this question too, or no? Okay, that doesn't sound like a yes, but Jonathan Taves.
Johnny Taves?
Jonathan Taves, yeah.
Captain Serious.
Nice.
Captain Serious, that's me.
Solid. Jake would be happy with that choice.
Yeah, he would.
Isn't that, oh yeah, that is Trask's favorite.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, anything else, guys? Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the abilities that you all have seen and some of the other centers that you traveled to that you would like to see incorporated into Centreplex?
Nice.
Scoreboard.
Ice. Jokes, just jokes.
Probably a scoreboard, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jumbotron would be pretty nice. Or even like a big screen on one end. I don't know. Our building's tough to play in when there's enough people there who hate the other team and love us. But I feel like that's like with any rink. A lot of people hate playing in Knoxville. Honestly, I actually love it. Things happen so fast because it's smaller. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd really change our rink. I like the old and the history, and I just would love if the ice was frozen more. Yeah, I know. Every team's in the South, man.
Look at the ice everywhere.
Yeah. Last Thursday, before the game started, it was so humid in there that it was, yeah, you probably saw it, but the boards were all fogged up. I was worried we'd be swimming instead of skating.
I don't really know what it meant.
That does happen.
I would.
Herbs? Anything you want to?
Scoreboard was mine.
What's that? Oh,
yeah,
yep, that's right.
No, but if you would, I would want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just, the whole front office staff just went up to Huntsville, so we saw a few things that we liked there too. I mean, it,
Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the 10, 15 minutes or so of line change with Coach Thomas every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. at the Rookery. We hope to see some more folks out there. We had a great turnout a couple of weeks ago. This past one, there only a few tables showed up. The regulars weren't there, but every time we've been there, it's been a blast. People have been asking great questions. They love engaging with Coach Thomas and some players. Different two guests every week. Again, every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. at the Rookery downtown, 543 Cherry Street in Macon, Georgia for the rest of the season. You can meet some of your favorite Mayhem players and enjoy some world-class food in doing so. So the Mayhem right now with a 3-3 tie game on their hands after a raucous second period of play. A minute and 18 seconds remain on their fourth Wild Wing Cafe power play of the night. They're 1 for 3. They converted on their last opportunity, courtesy of a Zach Urban slap shot from above the right circle. Max Cook is in the sin bin, serving a too many men on the ice. Bench minor as Bazovic circles back in his own zone. This Mayhem power play is brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe, and the third period is underway. Cameron, with lots of space left circle, sailed his shot over the crossbar, takes a strange bounce off a partition. Soper rescues it. Seamer, Bazovic from the point, had his long shot get through the traffic, but Kelly made the save with his glove. Now Bazovic holds the line, shifts his way into the deep slot, delivers for Trask, gives it over to Seamer. Just outside of his reach, Seamer taps it below the net again. Soper back to Seamer, who backpedals to the right point. He strides into the right circle, puts it across. Trask with a one-timer, flutters off the backboards, and Soper trying to salvage possession in tight. Now in the far corner, fighting for possession with Mazurek at the moment. Soper loses his glove, takes Mazurek into the boards. Trask, with one hand on his stick, secures it for Seamer. It slides back to Cameron, tapped it to Bazovic. Chris taps Bazovic to Jake Trask, kicks it to his stick now in the left circle. Trask feeds it down to Soper below the net. Jimmy Soper returns it to the left corner. Trask up to the top for Bazovic, whose one-timer is redirected by Cameron over the net. Seamer's pass was broken up by, looked like Mazurek, who just got his stick in the lane, and it pinballs back to the Macon goaltender Tanner Creel. The Marksmen have returned to full strength. In the meantime, Macon has dropped to 1 for 4 on the night on the Wild Wing Cafe power play. 18 and a half to play in the third period. It's a 3-3 score here at the Macon Centreplex. Both of these teams fighting at the moment for 5th place in the SPHL. The Mayhem hopeful that they can slide back into 4th place tonight if Peoria does them a favor and defeats Knoxville this evening. Puck is held in the zone at the left point by Fayetteville. Long point shot, and it's turned on net from point-blank range. Creel made the save, kicked out his right pad to deny Cody Brown, and the Mayhem are out to center ice with it. Seth Ronsberg is actually the recipient of the check, but you wouldn't know it based on the way Johansson fell down. And now it's Cody Brown being pressured by Ronsberg, who flushes the puck out of his own zone. Does Brown. Hausworth with a hat-trick attempt with a 100-foot shot that's denied by Creel. As Zach Urban loses his footing, falls down. Tallene recovers the puck, sends it behind his net. That's Minerva, not Urban, rather. Larry Smith will slide it out to Ronsberg. Diagonal pass lands flat on the tape of Tallene. He will attempt to send it into the Fayetteville zone. Flutters near the point, and Osaka will skate it the other way. He takes a check, gets it deep. Love scoops up the puck. 17:22 to go in the third. 3-3 is your score. Love shovels it off the side wall in front of the player benches. It's sent the width of the ice. Paul Frasio dumps it into the Macon zone. He takes a big hit from Jimmy Soper. Slipped out to the red line, and Tyler Palmer sends it D-to-D for Frasio, who will rim one around the Macon end wall counterclockwise, and Joe Osaka receives it behind the Macon net, puts it out in front. And the Mayhem have jabbed it away. It's Alexander Tallene spiriting a pass ahead for Derek Sutliff, who's trying to get a step on Frasio. Kicks it up to his stick, and Sutliff eventually loses it. And in the far corner, it's fought for by Keelik. Dropped behind the net for Tyler Palmer. He and Frazier have been out there a while, but the Mayhem in the middle of a line change are unable to keep them hemmed down. It's blasted in from center by Joe Osaka, stopped by Creel. Given out to John Seamer. Seamer with a 2-assist night going on so far. He will swivel his way through the neutral zone, gains the blue line and fires. It's blocked by Alfie Johansson. And the puck slid out into the neutral zone. Zach Urban is there. Jake Trask pursues it. Johansson turns with it. Trask trying to pick his pocket, but Johansson's able to clear it past Urban all the way down. No icing. 4 minutes into the third period. 3-3 is your score. Zach Urban with it behind his own goal. He is flushed out of there by Max Cook. Keplinger. His pass was intended for Trask. It went by his stick, and Max Cook has cleared it out. Larry Smith plays it down to his stick, got into his first fight with the Mayhem back in period 2, immediately after Macon's goal. Scored by Zach Urban. Kletcha holds the puck alive at the right point. It bats out into the neutral zone, and Larry Smith spearing it up to Justin Levesque. He will send Dakota Kletcha on his way. Kletcha gives it over. Cameron attempted reception. Nice attempt, but Thacker got his stick in the way. Cameron then spins it into the blue paint, and it's going to be covered by Dylan Kelly in the crease. It was a nice heads-up pass by Dakota Kletcha. It was right on the tape of Caleb Cameron, whose attempted move to dangle his way past Thacker was broken up. Thacker, a pretty good defenseman, he got his stick in the way, and Cameron would have had a great opportunity there had he dangled through. Kyle Thacker signed his first professional contract his senior year at SUNY Potsdam last season with the Pittsburgh Penguins affiliates, the Wheeling Nailers. Jordan Ruby's new team, with whom he just pitched his first shutout with the organization not long ago. So congratulations to Jordan Ruby. We're really happy for him and the job he's doing up in Wheeling. Caleb Cameron over the blue line for Justin Levesque. He will shovel it towards the front of the net. Point blank shot, big save by Kelly, denying. Looked like that was Kletcha who got the shot. Kletcha feeds it back to the point. Jarrett Cup settles it, shoots it. It sails over the crossbar, stays in play. The Marksmen are able to get it out. Good opportunity there for Kletcha. Dylan Kelly slammed the door shut. Now it's McCormick who opened the scoring tonight in the final minute of play in the first period. It rolls around to the left point. Fanning on it there was Travis Jake. It's recovered at center ice. Larry Smith has it. He will send it to Jarrett Cup. Cup's pass finds his fellow Canadian Justin Levesque. Cup's going to have to circle back and receive it from Tanner Creel. He whiffed on the rim around, but he gets a second chance. He's able to get it to Smith, who finds Ronsberg. Cup with it behind his own net. 14 minutes remain in the third period. We've had very few whistles in this period so far, as Smith's long pass is played by Levesque. Turned over in the neutral zone, and McCloy sends it into Macon territory, into the Larry Smith corner. Jarrett Cup backhands a pass up to Levesque. Lots of Mayhem players in desperate need of a line change right now. Levesque, Cup, Smith, they've all been out there for a good long while. Ronsberg will chip it out into neutral territory. Sutliff skating one-on-one. He's joined now by Seamer, who pass was just outside of his reach. Seamer then takes Travis Jake into the end wall, but Jake Houseworth, who scored Fayetteville's last 2 goals, with an attempted clear. Palmer helps him out, gets it out of the zone. And now the Marksmen commence a small counterattack as Houseworth tries to dangle into the slot. Loses it to Jake Trask. And now Bazovic has it. Now to Zach Urban. Urban angles it up the wall for Jake Trask, who accelerates it into Fayetteville territory. 7 minutes have gone by, 3-3 your score. A rolling puck finds Sheeran at the right half wall. Nolan Sheeran will spring the pass along for Max Cook. Trask on the back check takes it away. Loose puck slides to the point, kept in the zone. Nice three-way passing play. Creel aggressively makes the save on David Mazurek, and Keplinger will feed it up the right wing side. It's chipped in by Soper. Keplinger follows up, tries to put it behind the net for Jake Trask, but it was intercepted. Alfie Johansson pinned to the corner boards by Soper. This makeshift line doing damage for the Mayhem right now. Trask centers it over. Great pass. The shot from Love goes off the outside of the right post. Jake Trask with a brilliant feed over to Taylor Love, creeping in down the right wing. And Keplinger heads to the Macon bench. Trask will do the same. The two of them were out there with Jimmy Soper for a while, who is not their line mate. Soper receives the drop pass, put in front from Soper. Nice play, but Cameron's redirect is denied by Dylan Kelly. Now Corey Melkert sustains a check. It scales back up the boards. Cup is knocked down to a knee, gets the puck deep. Angled back off the glass. Cup with a nice play with his skates to keep it in the zone. Cameron feeds it towards the tail gunner, Kletcha. It was broken up. Taylor Price is at the end of a long shift. He's going to head to the Fayetteville bench. The Mayhem have dictated the pace of play so far in this third period as Levesque receives the pass on his off wing. He will drive, dips the shoulder, nice crafty shot, but it was denied by Dylan Kelly. It was a between the skates shot by Levesque. Now it's Sutliff taking it away, sending it back to the line. Smith holds it in the zone. Long screen shot stopped by Kelly. The Mayhem's arguably their best deflector, Dakota Kletcha, screening Dylan Kelly, standing in front of him, trying to get his stick on the shot coming through by Larry Smith, but it either went over or under Kletcha's stick. Normally, Dakota Kletcha redirecting shots, it's almost like clockwork. It's not whether he'll do it, it's how he'll do it. And that was one of the few times we've seen this season where Kletcha is screening the opposing goaltender and can't find a way to change the direction of the shot. As a result, Dylan Kelly was able to make the save relatively easily because there was no change of direction on Smith's wrister. There was, however, some traffic. Kelly doing a good job seeing the shot all the way through. Dylan Kelly standing at 6'5". There's not a lot of net to shoot at when he's in goal. His counterpart Tanner Creel, a whole 7 inches shorter, standing at just 5'10". Creel and Kelly have seen a lot of each other this season. The Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs, the Fayetteville Marksmen, in terms of proximity, very big rivals. They play each other quite a bit, and Kelly and Creel have gone head-to-head many a time this season when Creel was with Roanoke. He's still seeking his first win with the Mayhem, hoping that can be tonight. The Marksmen have not won a game in this building in over 2 years. The score is 3-3, 11.5 to play in the third period. And Jimmy Soper jumped the gun on that offensive zone face-off. He'll be allowed to stay. The puck drops. Soper wins the draw. It's tapped back to Smith, who skillfully holds it in the zone. Tallene centers. Sutliff bobbled the pass. Whacked down the boards by Nick Minerva. Soper finishes his check on Frazier, who did well to turn away. Sutliff spins it back behind the net for Soper. Tallene sets up shop in front of the net. The pass back to the line was broken up. Good stick, good effort there by Taylor McCloy. Were it not for him, Larry Smith would have gotten a pretty good opportunity from the blue line. Tallene nullifies the icing. Jake pins him up to the end wall. Tallene outstretches his stick to try to spring it to Sutliff, but Jake got there first. McCloy will now receive a touch pass from Tyler Palmer, and the alternate captain joins in on the rush. Mazurek from the right circle with a shot. Pad save Creel. Bounces off the half wall on the far side. Nolan Sheeran. Soper interrupts it, but he can't clear it. Goes off a Macon skate. Bounces right to Tallene. The Marksmen will just carry it back out to center themselves. It was the only play available. Mazurek pulls up, waits for some reinforcements to arrive. It's spun into the high slot. Intercepted by Trask, who's joined by Seamer on a 2-on-2. Cup makes it a 3-on-2. Gets it. Cup shoots. Glove snag by Dylan Kelly. Cup had John Seamer wide open, but his eyes lit up when he got that. I'm sure they lit up when he got that drop pass from Jake Trask. Couldn't help but pull the trigger in a situation like that. Never a bad play, certainly from that spot, to put the puck on net. And Dylan Kelly was just faster with his glove. Great opportunity for Jarrett Cup, who's second on the Mayhem in scoring this season among defensemen with 13 points on the campaign. Trailing only Kristaps Bazovics. When Cup was at Curry College, his senior year, had an incredible season. Has his stick checked by Tim Keelick. John Seamer goes into the corner on the far side. He is wrapped up by Taylor Price. The puck bounces right to Cup. He and Keplinger skate down the left wing side. Cup will enter the Fayetteville zone. He is taken off the puck by Corey Melkert. Keplinger follows up for Cup. And he will now leave it for John Seamer. Seamer switches with Jake Trask. There's a loose stick down there belonging to Corey Melkert. The SPHL veteran gets it right back. Seamer steps into the circle and shoots. It goes over the crossbar. Pinballs off of a stanchion. Takes a fortuitous bounce for Fayetteville as McCormick skates back into the Macon zone. The Mayhem are tired. Frazio, the intended recipient, never had it reach him as Zach Urban broke it up. Now Trask will wheel into the zone, gets past Thacker. He drives, he shoots. Stopped by Kelly. Nice point-blank save. 9:14 to go in the third. 3-3 remains your score. Dylan Kelly making some masterful saves in goal for the Fayetteville Marksmen. Jake Trask, the leading goal scorer in the entire SPHL, with a breakaway down the slot, and Kelly shuts the door. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today.
The Mayhem will get an offensive zone face-off out of this. Tallene steps in to take the draw. Keplinger goes behind the opposing net. It's taken hard into the boards by Tyler Palmer. Gets right back onto his skates as Tallene fights for it behind the Fayetteville cage, but Johansson is able to clear it out to the red line. Zach Urban enters the zone himself, the last Mayhem player to score a goal in this game. Late in the second period with a power play snipe from above the right circle. Klatcha from the right point, feeds it to Sutliff, left circle, put it across, one-timer, score! It's Keplinger again! He's got 3 goals in 2 games. A power play goal for the Mayhem, and it's 4-3. So just 30 seconds ago, Kyle Thacker had been penalized for slashing. Hadn't even noticed that. He was in the box, and the Mayhem had a power play. It just took them 30 seconds to strike and regain their lead. It's the 3rd time tonight the Mayhem have gained a 1-goal lead. And the past 2 times, Jake Hausworth has erased that lead within the first minute. So the Mayhem really have to buckle down. Maybe the 3rd time will be the charm. And keep Jake Hausworth off the score sheet for the next 30 seconds. Nolan Sheeran will send it back to Travis Jake, who from the red line will send it into the right corner. And the Boston College grad will just skate to the Fayetteville bench to complete a line change. Good touch pass by Minerva to get it out of danger, and Levesque skates over the blue line. Mazurek for McCloy. Racing down the right wing. He's got a step on Smith. Will attempt a wraparound, but he lost an edge. It was too tight. Trask will motor down the right wing. He's joined by Keplinger behind him. He's got Seamer with him as well. Trask trying to dipsy doodle his way through the slot. Gets it back and flutters it over to Seamer. It was in the air. Couldn't get a shot off. And Keplinger will catch up to it first and feed it back to the point. Zach Urban walks the line. Dishes for Keplinger. He snaps a shot off. Hits the crossbar. It stays out. Keplinger just an inch away from scoring a hat trick in his 2nd professional game. Jarrett Cup to Urban. Lead pass up to Sutliff. He's in across the line offside. He attempts to dangle through. Johansson took it off his stick. Alfred Johansson will feed David Mazurek, who drops it to McCloy. Good back check by Sutliff to recover possession for the Mayhem. Zach Urban sends it up to Tallene, who redirects it into an area now occupied by Seamer. Seamer rips a snapshot through a screen, stopped by Kelly. Pinballs back to the point, kept in the zone by Smith. And Johansson cross-checked Tallene from behind, didn't get called, and Tallene put it off the protective netting over the glass and out of play. Kristaps Bazovic had been being tended to by Bones, the equipment manager. He must have had an issue with his skates because he's testing them out right now. 6:52 to play in the third period. It's a 4-3 score in favor of Macon. Jake Hausworth beating Jimmy Soper off the face-off draw. And Tim Keelick will send it into Macon territory from center ice. Hausworth got his stick low on Zach Urban. And I think the puck went directly out of play. They're not calling a delay of game or tripping on this. The flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. 6:39 remain in the third period. The Mayhem, for the third time tonight, gaining a 1-goal advantage. Jake Hausworth answered the call 28 seconds later the first time, and then it took him an even shorter period of time last time the Mayhem went up by a goal to make it 3-2 off Zach Urban's goal. Jake Hausworth scored 19 seconds later. He's on the ice right now to take an offensive zone draw, but Jimmy Soper is able to beat him. And Sutliff will whack it into the neutral zone. Travis Jake gives it over to Tyler Palmer. It's tipped into the zone by Hausworth, bounces off the backboards, and Bazovic scoops it up. Loose puck dangerously up to Cook, but it bounced on him, and Zach Urban will commence the counterattack with Sutliff on his left. Urban delays. He sends it off the side of the net. Urban is taken off the play. Sutliff gets his stick in there, springs it along for Cook, who will twist it up the wall and out to center. Hausworth concedes possession to Soper. Here's Cook starting in. His shot is denied by Creel. Max Cook with another good opportunity to retie the game for Fayetteville. We're inside of 6 minutes remaining in regulation. Soper has spirited it out to center. Cameron forced it to flutter there on Elfie Johansson, but he recovers and is checked by Cameron. Turned over to Kletcha, who will chip it into the Fayetteville zone. Justin Levesque is after it. Levesque will twist it to Dakota Kletcha. Oh, and then a big hit from behind. A late arm goes up. A whistle will be blown. Penalty will be called against Macon. Fayetteville to the power play. Lots of pushes, shoves, punches, you name it. Fisticuffs being thrown behind Fayetteville's cage. All 10 skaters on the ice are engaged in this. A little Donnybrook. Cody Brown being separated from Dakota Kletcha. Brown grabs him by the back of his jersey. We know that there was going to be a hit from behind called against Macon. Certainly was a penalty. The Marksmen were headed to a power play, but that may not be the case now because of the fight, the retaliation. Jake Trask already getting ready to discuss the call. He's joined by Travis Jake at the red line. Hausworth will send Jake back to the bench and take care of the negotiations himself. Melkert in the sin bin for Fayetteville. Love and Cameron in the box for Macon. So if I'm not mistaken, what happened was Caleb Cameron was found guilty of the hit from behind. Corey Melkert went after him for the illegal hit, and Love stepped in to defend Cameron. It was just sheer helter-skelter. I wasn't able to identify all the players in the middle of that scrap because, like I said, all 10 skaters, everyone except for the goaltenders, were involved in that. There are 5:35 remaining. Fayetteville will almost certainly be going to a power play here. And the Mayhem hopeful that it's just a 2-minute minor because that was a pretty dangerous-looking hit. It will just be a 2-minute minor. Cameron in the box, offsetting roughing calls, I believe, against the number 3s, Corey Melkert and Taylor Love. And Cameron penalized for that hit from behind, or maybe they'll call it boarding, I'm not sure. So it's not showing up yet on point streaks, but the fact of the matter is the Mayhem are on the PK for the 5th time tonight. Fayetteville on the power play, 1 for 4. This Mayhem penalty kill is brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning as Seymour steals the puck. And Dylan Kelly had lost an edge and slipped up. Jake gives it up the middle, and it's Hausworth over the line. So Love was actually penalized for slashing, not roughing, and Cameron given 2 minutes for boarding. So a long point shot is sent wide of the blocker side post of Creel, and the puck squeaks past Travis Jake at the blue line and down into the Fayetteville zone. Jimmy Soper is first there. Soper reverses it to Seth Ronsberg, kicks it to his stick. Ronsberg is pinned up by Travis Jake now in the far corner. Jake from his knees will send it back to Corey Melkert. Or rather, that's David Mazurik, who will spin behind his own goal with it. He's pursued by Ronsberg, and Mazurik will send it along now for Cody Brown. Brown dances his way through center. It's carried across the line. Offside is the call against Fayetteville. 4:23 to go in the third. 4-3 Macon. This Fayetteville power play has really zoomed by pretty quick. With only 49 seconds remaining on it. So Love, Cameron in the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. And Corey Melkert in the Mayhem is Everywhere All-State Bonding penalty box. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. 4-3 Mayhem in the final 4:23 of play. Here's our final regulation media timeout.
Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
.49 seconds to go on this Marksman power play. Their only power play goal so far tonight came on a 5-on-3. McCloy will send it over to Travis Jake. Very dangerous offensive-minded defenseman out of Boston College. Jarrett Cupp is dispossessed of it from in behind the Macon goal line. It's taken by Keelik, who will send it to the goal line. Stuff attempt, side of the net denied by Creel, and Cupp will send it along the wall out to the far side. He'll then battle for it against Taylor McCloy. It's fed back to the point for Jake. Jake gives it to Sheeran. Back to Jake at the top of the point, left side. He will feed Keelik above the right circle. Creeps a few steps down and sends it to the adjacent goal line. It's Cody Brown turning the corner. He swaps places and reverses it to Keelik, who shoots. A sharp angle bid denied by Creel. Jake holds it at the line. Time has expired. Jake with a long point shot denied by Creel. Good butterfly save with the pads. Sent behind the net. Nolan Sheeran allows it to go through. The Mayhem successful on the PK, improving to 4 for 5 on the night, but they're not out of the woods yet. As it creeps up the boards, and Taylor Love will spring Dakota Kletcha. The Mayhem in the midst of a line change right now, as Kletcha will just try to buy some time. He goes wide on Tyler Palmer, who tries desperately to steal the puck from him. He just shoves Kletcha aside and goes in fighting for it. Bounces in front, backhand shot by Keplinger is denied by Dylan Kelly. Keplinger really putting his nose to the grindstone, forcing the issue and generating a point-blank opportunity. It wasn't pretty, but it gave his team a chance to score. Now down the left wing side will skate Cook. He wheels into the slot, holds onto it, is knocked off the puck, and Smith will whack it around the boards. Well defended by Larry Smith in textbook fashion, but he has iced the puck. 2:36 to go in the third period. 4-3 Fayetteville. Keep an eye out for Dylan Kelly on the left side of your screen there. There's a good chance that he will be pulled, if not right now, then by the next whistle. And it would make sense if Jesse Calicky were to use his timeout now. I believe he still has it available, and Leo Thomas does as well. But it looks as though play will continue. The puck drops. Lots of players tied up off the draw. It was sitting idle for a few seconds. Smith will spear one around in behind the net. Nick Minerva is there to scoop it up. Jake Trask gets rid of it quickly. The Mayhem get a 2-on-1. Seamer down the right wing side, joined by Keplinger. Seamer the shot, and he wired it wide of the left post. That was a booming shot by John Seamer. Nearly had a three-point night. Keplinger hoping to get the pass from him. Nearly had a hat trick earlier in this period by ringing a shot off the crossbar. Bazovic sends it off the boards in front of the Macon bench. Flutters up in the air. Trask will settle it and bounce it into the zone. Alfred Johansson Starts in front of his own net. He will feed Joe Osaka on the right wing. Halted behind the Macon cage by Tanner Creel, rimmed back around the boards. Josh Keplinger springs a pass along. Jimmy Soper crisscrosses with Ronsberg over the line onside. Soper's shot is denied by Kelly. 100 seconds remain. The Mayhem will be guilty of a penalty. Jimmy Soper, Seth Ronsberg were both in the area when Travis Cheek went down. A high sticking infraction will be called against one of them. I believe Ronsberg will be the culprit. No, it will be Soper. A high sticking infraction against, well, perhaps it'll be against Fayetteville. Travis Jake is, so the whistle blew when the Mayhem touched the puck. But Travis Jake was the guilty party, so that's interesting. But Jake to the sin bin, and that's probably the worst player that Jesse Kalki could lose in the last minute when the Marksmen need a goal to tie this game. The score is 4-3, so now Fayetteville needs a shorthanded goal to tie this game back up. 1:35 remains. Jake in the penalty box for high sticking. And the Mayhem to another power play. They're 2 for 5 on the man advantage tonight. Fayetteville 1 for 5. Trask receives the puck at the point. He will start down the left boards with it. Jimmy Soper behind the net. Trask will send it up to Bazovic. Seamer, Trask, left circle, put it in front, hoping for a deflection by Soper. It went past his stick. Seamer with a head fake, skates down into the far corner. Melkert pins him to the wall. Jimmy Soper, Caleb Cameron, and Cody Brown all in there trying to move it. Soper from a knee will send it around the boards out to Trask at the left half wall. He deposits it back behind the net. Soper reverses it. Cameron's got it. He twists it to Trask. Jake Trask spins it to Bazovic. The point-to-point pass finds John Seamer. Tees up a slap pass. Side of the net, it's Soper. Soper for Cameron behind the goal. Now to Trask. He surveys, feeds Cameron on the left side. He swivels behind the cage and tries to send it up to the point for Bazovic. It's intercepted and cleared down the length. 42 seconds to go. Dylan Kelly has not skated to the Fayetteville bench. And I'm not sure I understand this, but he's going to stay in net. Bazovic circles behind his own net. The Marksmen very aggressive on this forecheck, obviously. The Mayhem they're just content to play keep away here. Marksmen committing all bodies forward. Sutliff receives the breakout pass. Cook will have to go after it as Tauline receives it in the far corner and puts it in front, redirected wide by Kletcha. Sutliff seals off the boards to block the clearing attempt. Cook for Alpha Johansson, the crowd all on its feet, 8 seconds to go. The Mayhem have just snapped a 3-game losing skid with a 4-3 regulation victory over the Fayetteville Marksmen, which is exactly what they wanted coming into this tilt. The Marksmen have gotten too close for comfort in the SPHL standings, as have Knoxville and Roanoke. So this is an enormous win for the Mayhem, and there's going to be a fight at center ice. The goaltender Dylan Kelly throws his equipment off and starts throwing punches at what looks to be an unwilling opponent. Zach Urban is brought down by Kelly. It's a full-scale brawl at center ice right now, folks. There's pandemonium in the neutral zone, and the linesman and the referee have to get this under control. Dakota Kletcha wants to go. He's being taunted from the sin bin by Max Cook. Cook yelling at Kletcha in the penalty box right now, and it's sheer chaos on the ice. Let me remind you folks tuned in that this is the first of a 4-game stand between the Marksmen and the Mayhem. Nobody in this building has left because they realize this game is far from over. I mean, the score line is, the score is over, but the action is all but over. And Max Cook really taunting Dakota Kletcha right now. And that game within the game is far from over, folks. Keep that little rivalry in the back of your mind. Max Cook and Dakota Kletcha, do not be surprised in the slightest if over the next few games you see the two of them going at it, because there was something there. That little rivalry is not over. We haven't seen the last of that, I can almost assure you. And Kletcha gives him one last gesture as he skates down the tunnel. But the more important fact of the matter is the Mayhem have just secured a valuable 2 points in the standings and over a team they really needed to win against. The Marksmen had dropped 5 of their last 6 games, though most of them were close decisions. All of them were, as a matter of fact. Each of their last 6 games, now 7 if you include this one, have been decided by a single goal. So the Marksmen have been right there in every one of them. And you can see why the frustration's sort of boiling over there at the end of the game. But the Mayhem, with those 2 points, have improved right now to 4th place in the SPHL. They sit 3 points behind Huntsville, 51 on the campaign. They improved to 23, 17, and 5. The Marksmen have dropped to 20, 16, and 8. And we'll take a look around the SPHL for a very important out-of-town scoreboard update brought to you by Hampton Inn and Suites. The Knoxville Ice Bears game is the one that we're really concerned about right now. The Peoria Rivermen are not doing the Mayhem any favors. The Knoxville Ice Bears lead 2-1 early in period 3. If you're a Mayhem fan still tuned in, you might want to consider switching over on SPHL Live to the Knoxville-Peoria game, because that's another game with pretty strong implications on the Mayhem's playoff picture. If Peoria wins, the Mayhem will be in 4th place. If Knoxville wins, they will remain in 4th place tonight, is essentially what will happen. Elsewhere around the SPHL, Pensacola beaten up on Evansville in the second intermission. It's a 3-0 scoreline in favor of the Ice Flyers, who are at a point now where they have to win the rest of their season in order to comfortably stay in the playoff picture. Right now they're 10 points up on the Quad City Storm, but they do not want to risk a Quad City comeback. You never know with those inaugural teams what can happen. So Quad City right now trailing on home ice 2-1, and Roanoke has the lead, and Huntsville with a 3-1 advantage over the Birmingham Bulls through 2 periods of play. The 3 stars of the game being announced right now by Charles Olson. Zach Urban scoring his first goal of the season for the Mayhem. 1 goal, 1 assist tonight. He is the 3rd star of the game. He tosses a souvenir puck to a lucky fan in the bottom of section 119. The 2nd star of tonight's game, John Seamer, who had a tremendous night as well. John Seamer with a couple of assists. And to the tunes of John Seamer, he will skate to the bottom of section 110, throw a souvenir puck over the glass. And finally, the 1st star of tonight's game, I think no question, Josh Keplinger. Since he has joined this organization, he has been a godsend. He's got a goal in each of his 2 games since joining the organization. Tonight he had 2, nearly had a hat trick as he rang a shot off the crossbar. He would have been just the 2nd player all season to get a hat trick had that puck been an inch lower, folks. But he has been tremendous since joining the Mayhem. A goal in both games, 2 goals tonight, 3 in 2 games. And at that rate, I'm not even sure how many he'd have by the end of the year. But suffice it to say that he has exceeded expectations, and the expectations on him were pretty high coming into the weekend. So Keplinger, the 1st star of tonight's game, deservedly so, had a goal on a Jake Trask 2-on-1. Trask fed him a nice saucer pass over the stick of the Fayetteville defenseman, and Keplinger just tapped it into the back of the net for his 2nd goal in as many nights. And then he added another one, Keplinger did, in period 3. That one ended up being the game-winning goal. Dakota Kletcha fed him a circle-to-circle pass, and Keplinger fired a one-timer from the far circle past Dylan Kelly to give the Mayhem a 4-3 lead, which they would hold on to till the end of the night. That wraps things up for now, folks. We'll be right back here tomorrow night, same time, same place, 7:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Puck drop. The Mayhem will wrap up the series against the Fayetteville Marksmen on Pucks and Paws night, presented by Noah's Ark Pets and Grooming. We hope to have you on board with us. If you can't make it to the game, we hope to have you on the air. We'll be broadcasting live on SPHL Live, powered by New Lion, and on YouTube. It is Pucks and Paws night. If you haven't done so already, sign your dog up for the Wiener Dog races. The Wiener Dog race will take place in the 1st intermission of tomorrow night's game. Only Wiener Dogs allowed. We've got 25, I believe, 24 or 25 registered at the moment. Still time to register your Wiener Dog for the races, so do so by visiting the community tab on the Mayhem website, MaconMayhem.com, because we want to get as many of those Wiener Dogs running across the ice as we possibly can tomorrow night. Till then, so long, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Mayhem fans, we know you enjoyed the outcome. Macon with 4, Fayetteville with 3. And we'll be right back here tomorrow night to wrap up this series as the Mayhem close things out with the Fayetteville Marks, and you won't want to miss it. It promises to be exciting. We saw how hectic it got tonight, and this is only the first of a 4-game back-to-back stand between these two rivals. We'll be right back at it tomorrow night. Till then, so long, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Alex Von Coitel signing off, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.